It's your boy Roy Jones Jr. and right now you tune into World Combat Sports.
Hello, once again. Thanks for tuning in. You're listening to World Combat Sports. What's good? Salute to each and every one of you. Yeah, I just wanted to drop in and talk about the one and only Andy Ruiz, former unified champion. Each and every one of you that's in the chat, like, share, and subscribe, support the channel. And we're gonna jump right into this, man, and jump out of it. I look at boxing as one of those sports where, the heavyweight division, people don't pay too much mind to the weight differential between the fighters, right? But Andy Ruiz, he had a call, a Zoom call recently, and they really showing him that love. You know what I'm saying? They showing Andy Ruiz this love of, first of all, getting with it, getting with trainer Eddie Reynoso, and losing weight. Andy Ruiz has made it perfectly clear that he came at Reynoso 300 plus pounds. That's how big he was when he decided to come over there to Reynoso. And this is the same Reynoso that has, the likes of Canelo Alvarez already as one of his premier fighters. Per the article boxingscene.com, they basically mentioned, I'm going to read some snippets. They say Ruiz regrettably came in at 283.5 pounds for his immediate rematch with Anthony Joshua in December 2019 in Saudi Arabia. The Imperial California native weighed 15.5 pounds more for their second championship match than for their first night, when he stopped Joshua in the 7th round to pull off one of the biggest upsets in heavyweight history. The 31-year-old Ruiz weighed 305 pounds when he began training with Reynoso last year. The former champion also revealed Tuesday that he got as high as almost 320 pounds following his 12-round unanimous decision defeat to Joshua in their rematch. 320 pounds. I mean, that's Jarrell Miller weight. Above. Jarrell came in like 314 before, I believe. But yeah, that's huge. They go on to say a rejuvenated Ruiz didn't reveal his current weight, but he was noticeably slimmer during the press conference to promote his Fox Sports PPV main event versus Chris Arreola. He had this to say. You know what? I've always been overweight, Ruiz said. And now that I've been dropping weight normally and in the right way by eating right, not just wearing a sauna suit, starving yourself, because that's what I used to do back in the day. But now that we're eating the right things, we're working on the right things. Now that I'm eating the right things, we're working on the right things. I feel amazing, man. I can say this. I feel amazing. I could do better stuff that I couldn't do before because of my big gut. I had cha-chas. I had tits that wouldn't let me throw the right punches at all. But how I'm more motivated, I'm more dedicated in this sport, and sky's the limit. Even at 268 pounds, Ruiz's hand speed and skills enabled him to drop Joshua 24-1, 22 knockouts 4 times, twice apiece in the 3rd and the 7th round. During their initial meeting in June 2019 at Madison Square Garden in New York City, Ruiz weighed 255 pounds for their first title fight of his career. A 12-round majority decision loss to Joseph Parker, then 21-0 December 2016 at Spark Arena in Auckland, New Zealand. So Ruiz is scheduled to face Chris Arreola. All right. This is his first fight since, coming off that Joshua loss where he was clearly deconditioned and overweight. This has been 15 months ago when he squared off against Anthony Joshua. Areola's record is 38 victories, 6 defeats, and 1 draw, 33 KOs, 2 no contests. Their 12-round bout will be headlined Fox Sports PPV telecast from Dignity Health Sport Park. And the PPV is going to be $49.95. Once again, the PPV is going to be $49.95. So Andy Ruiz has been out the ring since December 2019. What disturbs me just a bit is that hardly anybody is talking about it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, this is a big deal, right? Andy Ruiz coming back. He's the one who dethroned Joshua. He's the former unified champion who's now on this weight loss, who's coming back to fight, boxing veteran Chris Areola. I don't hear anything about anything. You know what I'm saying? I just don't hear anything about it. I commend Andy Ruiz for his weight loss and doing it the right way. But one thing I have to say about individuals like Andy Ruiz, who's ballooned up over 300 pounds, it's very tough for these individuals to sustain that weight loss. Like, it's very, very tough for him to do that. And I can think one of his motivations will be to go for one last title run. I think that's pretty much the big part of it, because he spent so much money. And look, I'm not the one to get in people's pockets. I'm just going off public record. He spent so much money to the point where he has to, it's crazy with boxers. But, it gets to a point where he may be running. He may have went on a spending spree, did what he had to do. And now he's trying to settle back in to get another bag, to make it back to the promised land of getting a title shot. With that said, it pretty much forces him to refocus himself and hold himself to a strict accountability in his eating habits. This last title run, he has to convince the naysayers that really don't support him no more after he went in there and squandered that rematch. He has to bring them back around. Mexico don't really play with their fighters like that. Like, you was the first Mexican heavyweight. That was a big fucking deal. And you went in there and just blew it. So I know he has a lot of fans, but also I totally get that he has a lot of individuals that aren't trusting his discipline right now, because he has been overweight in the past. Andy Ruiz has said it himself. He's always been overweight. The good thing about it is that, he's taking the time and losing this weight for Chris Areola. He's going to go in here and look, like he should against Chris Areola. I don't think it's going to be anything spectacular. If he stops Chris Areola, cool. But I'm just saying, he's going in there against Chris Areola. All right. And I don't foresee Areola coming out with an upset victory over this. Yes, if he defeats Andy Ruiz, yes, in my opinion, it will be an upset to a point, because I understand where Ruiz is trying to go. He has the skill and the talent to go there. Andy Ruiz has the skill and the talent to match up nicely with any heavyweight. He does. But his Achilles heel, or the obstacle he's going to have to face, is mental. He's going to stay away in between forks. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I said in between forks. He's going to have to stay disciplined in between forks. I think he has a lack of control with his eating. In between forks is going to be his problem. If he's not able to just eat the right meal let's just say he finishes Areola fight and he has a little bit of time before he jumps back in the ring. He's going to have to be very extremely disciplined not to balloon up a weight and then use his camp to lose weight once again, because he's short, he's thick, and if you haven't been looking at the pictures, he's looking like he's added, some muscle, some definition to his physique. And that can happen. Okay, that can happen. Real talk. It can happen. It can happen. You can change a person like Andy Ruiz. You can bulk him up a little bit. But is it going to enhance and contribute to his skill set, or is it going to hinder it? You know what I'm saying? Will it somehow deplete what he actually can do? Because some people, believe it or not, if they're used to being big as a kid or whatever the case may be, that's the weight they perform the best at, with that weight on there. Sometimes when they lose weight, things don't work out the same. Like, it all depends, bro. I can't speak for Andy Ruiz. The only thing I can say is, I don't hear too much talk about him coming back in to fight Chris Areola, and I truly don't hear a lot of individuals complaining that he's been out the sport since 2019. You know what I'm saying? He's been out the sport since the end of 2019. It's been a long time for him to finally be coming back, over a year's time to come back in against Chris Areola. Just think about it this way. His last fight was a loss to Anthony Joshua. During that time, he's been losing weight. You heard what he said. He was 300 plus, man, when he came over there to Eddie Reynoso. So during that time, I can say right now, Andy Ruiz is probably sitting at about 250. You know what I'm saying? He probably spent the better half of the first part of his camp losing weight. And being that he didn't have a fight scheduled, they was able to do it. They was able to do it the right way and trim that fat off and get him conditioned and ready, for whenever he got a fight. Chris Areola, he's known for coming in just a little bit, sloppy too. He's even said it. Chris Areola has made it public that he used to have, he liked to have his drinks and goddamn go to the damn restaurant and shit. He said that. Maybe Andy Ruiz have motivated Chris Areola to come in there and we have looking halfway decent. Both of these guys have had those weight issues in the past. This is the heavyweight division. So sometimes sometimes these fighters fight well at a higher weight, even though to us it looks sloppy. King Mitch in the building. What's good with you? He said, "Come back. What up? Going hard today." Hey, I come on multiple times when I do, man. I just got a lot of other stuff. It's only me, so I got a lot of other stuff I'm taking care of, bro. Ruiz could train just as hard with his previous coach. Good for him, though. Bruce, what's good? Salute WCS. Everyone hate the idea of this fight being PPV, including me. The notoriety and popularity garnered by the fights versus AJ versus that Ruiz is PPV fighter. We'll see how well the numbers are. No. Everything else is good, but let's not start trying to see how well the numbers are now. $49.99. The numbers ain't gonna be nothing special facing Chris Areola. We can chill with that now, Mitch. I don't think those numbers are gonna do anything. For real. I think the numbers are gonna be what they are. It's not gonna be anything special, and we just gonna leave it like that. Coach Chris in the building, salute, man. It wouldn't be Clem Buterball, would it? Boy, you gonna have the Mexicans jumping out today's shadows, boy. Hey, like, goddamn, that Coach Chris, he just don't like Mexicans in general. What's wrong with this guy? I don't know, man. Andy Ruiz, he really didn't mention his weight. He didn't give us an idea of around what window on the scale that he's at right now, what his weight is sitting at. I don't know why fighters do that. You're in the heavyweight division, man. Give us something to work with. Give us something to work with. We already know we don't sing you big as hell. So if you're gonna do a Zoom call and we're talking to, you're talking to your fans and everything, the same ones you fucked over, right? Just let them know that, hey, I've been disciplined and I've been losing weight. Y'all want to know where I weigh right now? Okay, I weigh this. What's up with all the damn secrecy and shit? I also look at it like this too. I'm talking from a place that I've never experienced. All right, with being overweight like that. I just always had that discipline. I was pretty slim coming up, when I was a teenager, but I choose to, work out, run and all that. I don't know what it's like to be overweight. Mentally, I just always had it dialed in to eat the right things and make sure I maintain a certain type of physique. And, especially when you're in the streets and you're in the clubs and dating, I just always felt good about maintaining a certain physique and body composition, right? But the hard part about Andy Ruiz is to maintain. He's gonna have to maintain this weight. And when you have individuals sometimes used to being overweight all their lives, they fuck up. Perfect example, people. David Benavidez, perfect example. We have two Mexican fighters who have basically came into the ring overweight. It has hurt them. Two fighters who came in overweight and it hurt them differently. David Benavidez fucked up on the scales, lost his title. Andy Ruiz came in overweight, was motherfucking like a turtle in freaking fresh mud, and he was slow as fuck, and it hurt him. He ended up losing his title. Two Mexican fighters who was chubby as kids, but later on in their adult life, they still struggling to maintain discipline when it comes to weight standards. This is the truth. It has nothing to do with anything except the truth. These are two individuals who was chubby as kids, but even in their adulthood, they're still having issues with sustaining reasonable weight that is considered healthy and fit. Real talk. This is something Andy Ruiz is going to have to deal with on his title run. He's got to deal with this shit right here. He's losing all this weight to make a comeback after a year over a year off, and he's fighting Chris Arreola. What happens when it takes him a little bit more time to step back in the ring for his next opponent near the end of the year? How much is he going to weigh in? He comes in here at 250, but then he comes back into his next fight at 265, 270. It's hard for these guys to keep that weight off because they used to eating and drinking. That's my only point. It's a situation I can't relate to, but I do understand and have had friends who at one point in time I thought I was lending my advice. Like, I enjoy being educated on nutrition and especially when I was doing my little thing or whatever, and I learned a lot about nutrition. And when you try to explain people, like, they will ask you, right? You might have some of them friends that's overweight, and they ask you, say, is there any way you can help me, with my diet? I said, okay. How much water you drink? I don't like water that much, man. I drink some sweet tea. I drink, about 2 sodas a day, and just that. I said, you got to start drinking water first and foremost. Water is good for the body. You know what I'm saying? That's the best gasoline you can put in there, right? And then you got to get past the water deal. I mean, that's just way tough for people who just like flavored drinks. And then you try to explain to them about the diet. They used to putting certain type of seasons on their shit, marinating their meat, frying it. You know what I'm saying? They don't like baked shit. Some people just like to taste that crust. You know what I'm saying? That crispy crust on there, man. You know what I'm saying? Deep frying that food, whether it be chicken, fish, whatever. That's what they like to taste. And then, certain things they eat in between that, like burgers with mayonnaise on it, ketchup and mustard, and all that, cheese. When I tell them, I say, check this out. We're going to start from scratch. We're going to start slow. All right. I want you to try to eat 2 to 3 healthy meals a week. And you're probably saying to yourself, oh, 2 or 3 healthy meals a week is not doing anything for their weight if they still eating like shit. You're right. But I'm trying to get them used to the food that's going to be considered a healthy diet. Baked fish, baked chicken, along with measured, get them to start measuring their food, measuring the carbs, measuring the vegetables, right? So I'm pretty sure Andy Ruiz, with the money he has a chef that's making him the vegetables and shit. And he's working out. But the hard part about, what I had to deal with certain individuals, what he probably dealing with, is maintaining the consistency of eating the same food to keep yourself at a certain weight. It's motherfucking tough, man, not to goddamn go and get a Snicker bar and a Mountain Dew. I'm telling you, it's tough, bro. For some of these people, it's tough not to go in there and get a Mr. Good bar. You know what I'm saying? Go get some honey buns. Stop by Baskin Robbins. You can go by Dunkin' Donuts and get a dozen. It's tough. And when you're in a sport such as boxing, your poor eating habits can affect your performance. And Andy Ruiz said that he was so big and he had a gut and tits that it prevented him from throwing a punch the correct way. That's crazy. Like, the man was so big, it prevented him from throwing a punch correctly. His technique was flawed. That's big. When you take, have long arms like that, it worked with him just a little bit with Joshua, because Joshua, like I always say, Joshua's always been overrated in my opinion. So he was able to perform and stunt on Joshua and expose him for the mediocre boxer he is. He was still a big Andy Ruiz that was able to become unified heavyweight champion. Andy Ruiz can box. He fought Joseph Parker for the vacant WBO title, and I thought he put on a great performance. You know what I'm saying? I actually thought he won that fight, but he lost. And then, down the road, he ended up, they looked at him, Eddie, whoever. They was looking at Andy Ruiz as a soft touch. Oh, he's overweight. He's sloppy. He's good. Bring him on in. And he beat Joshua ass, dropped him several times, and made him quit. But now his return to the ring, Andy Ruiz can just about contend with any heavyweight. When it comes to style, when it comes to his boxing skills, all that. Andy Ruiz can contend with any heavyweight that's in the game right now. He can box. At the end of the day, it's boxing. He can get it in. Andy Ruiz is one of those dudes. I'm pretty sure people looked at him as being all chubby and round, but when he put them hands on their ass, they was like, "Oh shit, that little chubby kid can bounce." You know what I'm saying? That motherfucker can bump, and they wasn't fucking with Andy. To be honest, not to sit up here and put a damper on anyone's spirit. I've seen this so many times, like when fighters are overweight, when people are overweight, they lose weight because they have a goal in mind. You know what I'm saying? They have a goal in mind, especially when money's involved. When you're forced to get yourself back up to a big paycheck in boxing because that's your livelihood, your profession, the drive is much more, energized for that. You're much more motivated to get that shit done. That's what Andy Ruiz has going on. He spent a hell of a lot of money, and he has to come back to the sport. And with that motivation, it's allowing him to lose weight the right way. Now, I'm telling you, this pandemic is lifting a little bit, right? I'm not saying it's going away. This pandemic is lifting. And 2020 really did good with Andy Ruiz to a point, because we already know what he did for Manny Robles and all this other shit. When it comes down to him finally getting back in the ring and maintaining this weight from 2021 to 2022, it's going to be a journey. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be tough. It's going to be something that he's going to have to buckle down. And in between forks, he's going to have to ensure himself that he understands what the goal is. The goal is to get back into a championship fight and make a huge paycheck. That's what Andy Ruiz wants to do. He has a lot of people looking at him now. You know, it's going to be about 5 years before Canelo retires. He has Canelo Alvarez there. You know, I'm not sure if Andy Ruiz really gives a damn. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about somebody that was at the top of the pinnacle, winning the belts, and then just blew it going into the rematch, ballooning up in weight. I don't know how much he truly respects Canelo Alvarez to think when it's time for him to cheat, when Canelo ain't looking, when Reynoso isn't looking. I don't know if he's really that type of dude who cares. He just feels that, okay, I know I want to have this to eat, but I don't care who I'm letting down. You know what I'm saying? I don't care about that. I got to eat. I've been champion before. I know freaking Andy Ruiz is saying this shit. I can go in there and beat Areola. I'm just much more skilled than he is. I'm not worried about that. I'm just much more skilled than he is. I'm gonna show him, you know, his coach is probably saying, you know, you're not gonna have too much of a problem with Areola. He's not really concerned or worried about that shit, bro. He's just thinking about the next fight after that. If he can get a big name after Areola, then that's when he starts cooking again. That's when Andy Ruiz start cooking. So it's gonna take from this year 21 to 22. We're gonna see how well he maintained his weight. Because like I tell you, what's going to hurt him is in between forks. When he put down that fork and finish his meal, what is he doing in between meals? Is he snacking, or does he have enough discipline to go back in there and eat another healthy meal? Reynoso is not going to be around Andy Ruiz 24 hours, 24/7 after he finished this fight with Chris Areola. He's not going to be around Andy Ruiz. They're not gonna be hanging out every day. So, Eddie, I need you by my side, because in between forks, I just don't have no discipline. Now he's gonna be on his fucking own. He's gonna be back to eating where he eats. He's only, in the camp on Eddie Reynoso, and they're able to have a nutritionist there to get him down in weight. And this is for fight camp. When this fight camp concludes and they go back in the ring and they beat Areola, they're not going to continue to. Andy Ruiz is not going to continue to stay there with that nutritionist. He's probably going to take some time off. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of damage to a person that's used to being overweight, a lot of damage can happen in 2 weeks. Tom Brown in the building. What's good? Coach say, I love Mexicans. I'm going to leave them alone about the black Mexican grandmothers in the closet. Mitch say, oh shit, he on the special beef. I be on it too. Shit allowed. It's allowed now to a certain level. Is that only the WBC or all around the board? I know, man. I try to leave the beef out of it since it's on my live chat. I'll speak on it. They did pretty much allow certain freaking levels of clenbuterol because basically it's in the meat. Because people have to understand, this is another thing I explain to people, and this might bore some people, but I'm pretty good what I put out here. I'm pretty cool with it. I did my studying. I learned a pretty good depth in my time. I always explain to people about organic food. They always want to talk about organic, and it's a way that organic food is raised. But when you're talking about livestock, If by chance livestock grew naturally with no enhancements to go to the slaughterhouse, I mean, damn near wouldn't be no food around this bitch. Livestock are enhanced, you know what I'm saying, with certain injections, certain proteins, certain drugs to help them grow quickly. And then they go to the slaughterhouse, and that's what it is. So being that what they're talking about in the chat about certain properties being allowed now, certain levels of clenbuterol, because it's already in the meat over there, because that's what they're injecting into these animals for them to grow quickly, expeditiously, go to the slaughterhouse, and it provides meat. It's a constant food chain. You know what happens with the animals? They're not just growing up naturally. They motherfucking putting these animals, the one that's going to be food, they're injecting them with anything and everything. And just so happen clenbuterol is one of them to help their growth, keep the meat the way it's supposed to be, you know what I'm saying? And get them big enough to go to the house. And the rest is what it is. They get packaged. So now they decide to say, okay, for Mexico, we understand that this is in the meat. So being that Canelo Alvarez had tested positive for clenbuterol before, and other Mexicans might test positive, we don't want to deter Mexicans from being able to eat beef over there while they're training. So we're going to pretty much allow it up to a certain level. So it'll be, it's without punishment. That's accommodating. That's so accommodating, huh? But I just can't put it on them, though. Because with John Jones, who I talked about earlier, they had to restructure the way they go about, fighters who have tested positive for PEDs, and finding out that certain PEDs leave the body in a specific time frame. Not everybody is clear of all the picograms and everything that's showing the residue of the performance enhancing drugs that they took earlier. You know what I'm saying? So it forced them to go back in there and say, you know what? If we suspended him this time and he continued to train and he's still registering these low levels, then therefore from his previous drug use, his body is still pushing out those drugs that he was on earlier. But in this case right here with the clenbuterol, they're basically saying we're going to allow it up to a certain amount because it's in the meat. In that case, shit, they better make sure that shit is across the board. You know what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of meat out here that has drugs in it. That's just what it is. It's going to happen that way. So when I tell people about organic food, man, it's a lot of other additives that goes into organic food. There's much more than what we eat regularly. People just feel that, they see that O word up there, organic, everything is cool. Not everybody's digestive system handles organic food correctly. Some people gain weight off organic food. They eat a lot of that shit. And that's defeating the purpose. You know what I'm saying? That defeats the purpose, bro. But when it comes down to Andy Ruiz, man, is he mentally strong enough to maintain his weight? That's the big question. AJ still ran from him, bro. Coach Chris, why do you hate on everyone who ain't black? Coach Chris has his friends that's in here. I don't know. I couldn't tell you anything about that. Coach have to answer that. The Canelo beef is just different. The Canelo beef, man. The people that are big time Canelo supporters are gonna say it's a cutting agent. It's a lot of different. How you put it? I'm just gonna say drugs. It's a lot of different drugs they put into meat. Period. It's a lot of different drugs, chemicals that they put in the meat. Seriously, and no other way to put it. And you can say that clenbuterol is a cutting agent because they want the meat to be lean. They don't want the damn the livestock to be picking up all this fat. They're not just putting shit in there and feeding them junk food, and the meat isn't healthy. So of course, people are going to come up and say, well, let's make it a big point that clenbuterol is a cutting agent. Still a drug. Livestock livestock, they are injected with these drugs and chemicals to speed up their growth. You know what I'm saying? To enhance their growth period outside of the natural timeline. And then they go straight to the slaughterhouse and go into the packing stations out to the stores for you and I to eat. That's the way it goes. But for Andy Ruiz, he's going to have to stay away from the motherfucking beef. He's going to have to stay away from everything else he's eating in between forks, so he won't be in the same position he is now. And I just look at it like, I've seen people go on weight losses, right? I've seen people who lose weight, and I commend them. I say, man, keep that shit off. You look good, man. Yeah, I lost weight because I got a wedding coming up. Or I lost weight because I got this coming up. I lost weight because I got that coming. They always lost weight for a reason, but they never had really a solid goal to keep that weight off, just in general, for their own personal health. They just really never had that in their mindset. They had to have a reason. Like going into certain restaurants when the food is cooked. Like, say for instance, I'm just gonna give an example in Japan. Like the Japanese, you go in some of these restaurants, they cook the food in front of you, and it tastes so delicious. Whoo, man. Just says chicken yakisoba, right? So if you go into this restaurant and you order some chicken yakisoba, right? And you watch them cook it, they put a motherfucking block of butter. Dude, they put a motherfucking block of butter in that broiler. Let that shit melt. They throw them noodles on there at high temperature. They pop those noodles around and shit and put the vegetables in there. Look, the noodles, the motherfucking vegetables, all that shit is fresh. You know what I'm saying? That's fresh motherfucking food thrown in butter. They cooking that shit. They throw the chicken in there, man. Cook that shit up real nice. They serve it to you fresh. But always knowing that the prep that block of butter was in there. When I say a block, it's a block. It's a block of butter that they throw in there and melt that bitch. And that shit be boiling. And then they throw the noodles and the vegetables and the meat on top of that, cook it, and they serve it to you, and it's delicious. But when you go to restaurants like this, you have to ask them certain things. A lot of people don't even know that if you order something off the menu, you can ask them to leave certain things out of it, so it can be a much more healthier dish. You can, but who gives a fuck about that if you're not trying to lose weight? They say, oh man, fuck that. That's too much. I mean, when I was dating this chick, I never really said anything about her weight. Her weight was cool, but herself, she had insecurities. Person like Andy Ruiz, who's been fat as a kid, he probably don't have insecurities like that. He's used to being fat. Yeah, he might say he had a gut and tits, but he was used to that, seeing that in the mirror. He was used to it. I don't know what that's like, but once again, when I was dating this chick that was overweight, she went on also like a fitness. It was getting hot out, and she went on this fitness, journey or whatever, to lose weight. And then when women start losing weight, they start buying tight shit. And then when they buy the tight shit, the jeans and everything, they look good. You compliment them. You say, damn, baby, you looking, that's what's up, man. You're losing weight. You're looking fine as shit. And then they might say some dumb shit like, well, wouldn't I look fine before? I say, yes, you did. But you obviously bought some new pants, and they're much tighter because you're losing weight. So their whole mindset is to continue to fit those jeans because it's getting hot outside. Once again, they have a set goalpost. It's getting hot outside. I want to lose weight to look good for summer. Or I want to lose weight because I'm going on a trip. I want to lose weight because I got this coming up. They ain't losing weight just to maintain it and to look good, period. So once summer starts to end, it starts to get cold. Them jeans are in the closet. And them motherfuckers might never, ever come back out. So when they start to put back on that weight, they might ask you the question, hey, baby, tell me something. Do it look like I'm gaining weight? Nope. Nope, it do not. Come on now. They'll ask you a question that's rhetorical. Why? I'm going to tell you how. I know it's kind of off topic. It's still on the weight situation with Andy Ruiz and all that shit, right? But I'm just telling you how it goes with the mindset of people who used to having weight on. A woman will ask you, are they gaining weight? And you tell them no, but yet they feel that you're being disingenuous, right? But yet you kind of are, but you just, for the sake of argument, you just want to be nice and sweet and being loving and all this other shit, right? Now you're not gaining weight. How you say you don't see it? No, I don't see it. I think you look just fine. I didn't ask you, was I looking fine? Am I do it look like I'm gaining weight? No. Then they'll say, okay, well, I can't fit in those jeans I wore in the summer. I mean, I can't even button them up. I can't do shit. I can't even really put them on no more. I say, what? Nigga like me might say, well, did you wash them in hot water? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gaining weight. People pretty much measure their weight gain after they have lost it with clothes. You know what I'm saying? And the mirror. A lot of people who are big, they don't look in the mirror. Believe me. I've seen it. A lot of people who have weight on, they don't look in the mirror a lot. They just skip the mirror. Or if they're in front of the mirror, they just have clothes on. But anyway, back to Andy Ruiz, man. It's cool that Andy Ruiz decided to go on this weight loss venture and everything. I'm not confident that he's going to be able to keep this shit off. I think Andy Ruiz might be a comfort eater. They always say that if you really want to gain weight and you understand what it takes, it's a certain time at night you have to stop eating. You have to stop eating a certain time in the evening. You have to stop eating. If you're one of those individuals that eat late at night, according to what you eat, it digests differently. And also the transient fat process is broken down differently when your body is inactive and you're sleeping. So if you eat these heavy foods before you go to bed, you're going to pack on weight over time. Believe that shit. And Andy Ruiz might be one of those individuals that love eating and he's a comfort eater. But the fact still remains for him, he's competing in a sport. He's going to have to keep that weight off or, slowly gain back what he feels comfortable with. Because he's proven at close to 260, I think, he was still able to go in there and knock Joshua ass clean out. He was still able to go in there and make Joshua quit at that weight. So he's able to rock and roll over 250. But the big question is, losing all that weight that he had from when he went in there and lost his belts to Anthony Joshua in the rematch, and then ballooning up to over 300 pounds, going through this weight gain just to step in the ring and look good. What's his mindset's going to be after he step out? And he said, God damn, I'm glad that fight camp over. God damn, I'm glad. I'm happy. Now I'm about to go eat. We're going to party. That's the big question I have for Andy Ruiz. Who's going to, if it wasn't anyone around him before that can stop him from fucking eating, because they ain't whooping his ass. They're not whooping Andy Ruiz's ass. So they can say to Andy. Hey, listen, bro. I ain't trying to start no shit, man. Hey, I'm just saying, you said you was going to try to maintain this right here around 245, 250, man, but you eating, that's bad. Andy going to be like, man, I ain't in fight camp. I'm not in fight camp, so why you worried? We just don't want you in between forks, the balloon up again. I know you're trying to set a different standard and everything. You know what happened with the Anthony Joshua rematch? What happened? Andy, we gonna say what happened, motherfucker? Tell me. Nah, I don't want no trouble, Andy. I don't want no problem, no problemo. I'm telling you, Andy gonna be like, man, leave me the fuck alone. I'm good. I was heavyweight champion, not you. What y'all think? Can Andy do it? Can Andy keep the motherfucking weight off? Is it possible? Andrew Charles in the building. What's good? Big Dog, what's good? It's just funny, Big Dog said the Canelo beef is just different. Man, that shit was funny. I was thinking about that. I say, damn, he said it's just different. Andrew say, so since they raised the levels that are acceptable, if you live in a country where they don't put clenbuterol in cows, is it okay for a fighter to inject it as long as I can test below? Damn. Hey, man, that's a good question, bro. Seriously. But check this out, though. It pretty much don't make no sense, Andrew. Because listen, see, they inject that into the livestock to help it grow and make sure it's not growing obesely. So the meat is fucked up and be all fat. Like that meat has to have a certain fat content to it. It has to have a certain leanness to it. You know what I'm saying? So they just can't inject a piece of meat that they're eating over and over again. Like they will have the clenbuterol levels would be too high. It'll be too high because they haven't had time to basically filter itself through the meat naturally. So if you're talking injecting the meat while you're eating it, of course you're gonna pop on that motherfucker, dog. Shit, you're gonna be suspended. They're gonna be like, God damn, your shit high. Well, I asked the guy, I said, hey, the guy that was cooking the meat, I said, is this clenbuterol free? He said, yep. I said, well, God damn it. They say the levels in Mexico are supposed to be this. So I had my own motherfucking syringe and I injected that bitch myself. Nah, you can't do that because that shit will be, man, it wouldn't have saturated yet in the meat. That's hilarious, man. I gotta put that shit up there. That's hilarious, man. Y'all got jokes today. Y'all got motherfucking jokes for real. When a video game came out, Ruiz smashing a platter of tacos and then start working on some pizza just 3 or 4 weeks before AJ 2. That's when I knew there might be a problem. Yeah, he's always been overweight and had no discipline when it comes to eating. No discipline. Jokes aside, though, I got Andy ranked a solid 4 on my heavyweight list. Okay, so who you have ahead of him? I'm just curious. LOI saw that same video. Ruiz was having a proper mukbang. Man, y'all gonna have to sit up here and hit Ruiz up in his IG and be his support system. Seriously, Mitch, Andrew, Big Dog, y'all gonna have to, if y'all really care, y'all gonna have to reach out to Andy Ruiz and be his support system, because it's a proven fact that he might indeed balloon back up in weight. It's real talk. But I'm gonna tell you, Andy Ruiz is one of those guys where I'm pretty sure somebody around his circle, he told him, Andy, you getting big, dude. But it was only one person that he trusts and he respects. It wasn't everybody. Because Andy might have that little kid face, but he'll fuck you up. You know what I'm saying? He might have that little kid face, that love eating donuts behind the scene in the bathroom and shit like that, but he'll fuck you up, dog. Andy was blessed with that motherfucking ability, but now that he's competing on the big stage and he's won the titles, guess what? You're gonna have to do better, bro. You're gonna have to do better than that. Jay say that nigga had pizza and tacos on a platter. Yep, he did, man. Andy Ruiz was up here just motherfucking consuming all the high calories. And then going to the gym, Andy Ruiz say Ruiz said he used to wear a sweatsuit, a sauna suit. I was like, wow, a sauna suit? That you think that was gonna this another fun fact, people. Initially, when you start to lose weight like that, and it seems like you're really losing weight, it's water. The first thing your body get rid of is excess water. You start to lose water weight, and then you start to burn those, get your metabolism, right and everything. And get your BF measured, body fat, get your BMI, body mass index, all that shit calibrated. And then you start the diet, and then you get on a training regime, you start losing weight. But initially, when you start, it's water. That's what it is, bro. In no particular order, my top three heavyweights are Wilder, Fury, AJ, followed by Ruiz. I feel you. I feel you. I don't know, man. I mean, I don't have a problem with that list. I don't have a problem with the top three a little bit. I'm still, I know you're putting AJ up there because he has a unified title. I get it. And of course, Fury, but I still have Wilder, man. I still have Wilder as number one, man. I still think Wilder can come back. I still have total confidence in Wilder coming back to the game and fucking it up. Goddamn, getting his retribution for real. For real, I do feel that way. It'd be good if Wilder stepped in there with Andy Ruiz. Fuck it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if they trying to push that fight, and even Wilder has said that he wouldn't mind, stepping in there with Andy Ruiz. He even said it. Andy Buffet style Ruiz. Damn, y'all going hard on Andy, boy. So since he lost that fight in the desert, man, and he's coming through this weight loss, he's up here showing you his quad muscles and shit. Y'all ain't convinced. Y'all acting like y'all ain't convinced, man. Y'all acting like y'all are not convinced. This mug is showing you his quads. Andy is doing leg extensions, y'all. You know what I'm saying? He's up here doing leg extensions. Heavyweight division is too top heavy for show. It is. Yes, sir. It is. It's very top heavy. But for good old Andy, I just don't hear a lot of talk coming down on about Andy. I hear Canelo all the time. He's in Canelo camp, but I'm not hearing too much about Andy Ruiz though, the destroyer. I'm not hearing the motherfucking masses come together in unity and support Andy Ruiz return to the ring against another Mexican fighter, Chris Arreola. That's what I say. How people all look. This is exactly what I mean when people pick and choose who they want to fully 100% support. Like you raise the fuck up out of Canelo, but yet you discard Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola. So then all that effort, getting all upset when people make all these claims and criticism about Canelo Alvarez is pointless. It's contradicting because you're not giving the same energy for Andy Ruiz. Where's all the support to bring him back to the square against Chris Arreola? And he don't deserve it? I mean, he was a former unified champion. The first Mexican heavyweight champion. He doesn't deserve that shit. He doesn't deserve the same attention. I mean, because this YouTube community was up in arms and motherfuckers was just so motherfucking frenetic. Oh, don't you say that shit about Canelo? Don't you say you Deontay Wilder fanboy? Don't say that about Canelo. Don't you dare. That's after I say, hey, Canelo's top pound for pound dude. But goddamn it, he did get popped for motherfucking clenbuterol. It's a cutting agent. You a hater. I've never had grown ass men say so much, derogatory shit in defense of. I'm like, what about Andy Ruiz? No discipline, Andy Ruiz, man. Ruiz did smack AJ around from pillar to post, but AJ still gonna get most heavyweights. Most heavyweights, the top 15 isn't extremely heavy. What I mean by that, heavy in the sense of technical, when you're comparing them to being some of the best in the division. I say it really stops at around 6. Loosely. It stops around 6. You know, that's if you want to throw Dillian White in there for being the interim champion. You want to throw Dillian White in there. And then anybody else that they feel is coming up through the ranks that's worth mentioning. Like a Joe Joyce. And then you have Trevor Bryan. Trevor Bryan is WBA heavyweight champion. You know, the world heavyweight champion. So, you know, you got to put him up there in the ranking system. You have to put Trevor Bryan up in the ranking system, man. You have to. A lot of people don't know Trevor Bryan, but I know people are gonna say, we don't care about that. They saying the same shit that the Mexican fight fans are saying about Andy Ruiz. We don't care. He fought Bermain Stavern. You know, he's a Don King fighter. We don't give a damn. But still, you have to look at the fact that the man is indeed the only U.S. heavyweight champion at this time with a belt. But we still have faith in the man, the Bronze Bomber, to come up out this motherfucker, because ain't shit moving without him in the heavyweight division when it comes to this WBC belt. Ain't shit moving. Nobody move. Nobody get burned. Nobody move. Nobody get burned. That's exactly what's going on. Wilder, Fury, AJ, Ruiz. Big drop off then, Dillian White and Herkovic, Joyce. Yeah, Joe Joyce, Philippe Herkovic, and Dillian White. So a big part of me want to see Joe Joyce and Philippe Herkovic fight, because they are some slow ass fighters, but yet, you know, their style match up real nice. Dillian White, of course, I want to see him in there with some of the big names. Of course. I don't think he's ready for any of the top 4 that you have on there. I don't think Dillian White is ready for Wilder, Fury, AJ, or Ruiz right now. AJ has already knocked him out previously, you know, along with Alexander Povetkin. So I would like to see him fight some of these up and comers. Philippe Herkovic, why not? You know what I'm saying? Why not? Babbage. Let Dillian White fight Babbage. You know? Andrew Charles, I think a lot of people want to support Ruiz. They just got some reservations because he has let down. He had let down of the year in the rematch. Of course. That's what I'm talking about. Ruiz was a letdown. He wasn't disciplined enough, bro. Your man AJ was scared as shit. Could have been a different fight had Ruiz been somewhat in shape and focused too. In order for him to be in shape, he had to be focused. He wasn't focused, because in order for you to maintain weight, even for the fighters who are in shape, you know, we've seen fighters such as I'm going to put it out there because it's public record already. But you know, you have the Gervonta Davis, you have the Errol Spencers. And, you know, you have these fighters that are considerably in shape to certain people, but yet and still they're out of shape when it compared to boxing weight. Like Errol saying he was like 189 or something like that. For him to come from 189 all the way down to 147 is just, that's crucial. That's very, very tough. That's crucial for him to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because you have to spend time dropping weight in your fight camp. That means when you could have been resting, you got to do that cardio. You got to get that cardio in and drop that weight. You know, that's after sparring. That's after training. You got to still get that cardio in it to shed those pounds. That's brutal, man. That shit's motherfucking brutal. I need to start paying more attention to a lot of other heavyweights, if I'm being honest. Yeah. I mean, when you have the popularity contest, so to speak, you have the big names that's always here, like the Wildest, AJ's, Furies, you know. I mean, for a long time, that's what it was. And then, of course, Andy Ruiz came out of nowhere. Even though he was here, he came out of nowhere at the last minute call up of Jarrell Miller popping dirty. He came out of nowhere, and for a quick moment, the world embraced this dude. Real talk. For a brief moment, the world embraced the shit out of Andy Ruiz. They did. You couldn't turn on the TV without seeing Andy Ruiz. You know what I'm saying? You just couldn't. You just couldn't. Everybody, kind of fell in a motherfucking a one night stand with Andy Ruiz. They was like loving how he came in here and was such an underdog. I know some people who got paid over 200,000, man, betting on Andy Ruiz for that fight. It was just crazy. It was almost similar to Buster Douglas, Mike Tyson. So Andy Ruiz comes in here, shocks the world. Didn't shock me though. Seriously, it didn't shock me. But he beats Joshua. And from then on, he not only goes on a spending spree, but he goes straight to the buffet and start packing on. And they say, Andy, they want you to come in and sign the contract, my friend. The rematch is coming up. My friend, I don't want you to get upset, my friend. But I just want to know, like, what you plan on doing? What your weight is right now, my friend? And Andy was like, don't worry about that shit, man. Why are you worrying about my weight? Okay, my friend. Okay, never mind. Just make sure you're there at 4:30. Da da da. People was probably telling Andy, but since Andy was buying people shit, and he had all this money, people was like, God damn, look at that car Andy bought. Look at that house he bought. Look at this and that. That was new for him. And a part of me saying, you know what? If you never had that shit growing up, Andy, man, take your mother, man. Do right by your mother. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it. Man, Andy didn't have that type of money growing up. I get it, bro. I get it, man. Do right by your mother, man. She did what she had to do, and you just wanted to do right by your family. But yet, and still, your career isn't over. So Andy Ruiz, he knew in its entirety that once he got that first check, that he was due another check. He knew he was due another check with Anthony Joshua, but he cashed out. He knew he wasn't going in there to win that damn rematch. That's why he was out there fucking off, eating everything, and he looked the way he did. Yep. Because I remember being in this group and people was like, man, if he want to do for his mom, he can do for his mom. Nobody was talking about he couldn't do for his mom. But you're a grown-ass man. What you was putting in your mouth didn't have nothing to do with your mom's. So I appreciate him doing what he did and going in there contending and upsetting Anthony Joshua. Cool. But going in here with Chris Arreola on his weight loss, can you keep that same discipline for a 2-year period? Oh shit. Hold on for a second. Damn. God damn it. Does Andy Ruiz have it in him to do that? That's the biggest story. That's the biggest question of the day. Andy's one of those fighters that it's hard for you to sit up here and just straight up hate him. for being that kid who's been fat most his life, but yet he was still able to become heavyweight champion. But yet and still, hardcore fight fans got to hold him accountable, just like we hold everybody else accountable. You need some discipline, son. Sir Ken in the building. What's good with you, Sir Ken? World Combat Sports salute. Salute to the wrenches. Salute to the chat. Smash the like button. Appreciate you, my brothers. Appreciate you. Same with Thurman. He was blowing up in between his last couple of fights. Yes. And people keep that heat on Thurman too. Yes, sir. Keith Thurman was, gaining weight, going around here. I'm glad he finally cut off that ponytail because niggas be holding down that ponytail too long. It's time to cut the ponytail off. Release yourself. But now, Keith Thurman, cut the ponytail off. I thought that Keith Thurman was the one that potential was coming back to fight Crawford. But it's been rumor over Bud Crawford's way behind the scenes that he was going to fight Pacquiao. Like I kind of spoke on the ways back, but I was like, when Pacquiao got off the belt, they put him in recess. I say, damn, okay, that's kind of fucking up what I'm hearing in the streets. That's kind of fucking everything up. But yet and still, the fight isn't official because pretty much they want to announce it. The people that's putting all this effort into it over in Abu Dhabi, they want to be the ones to let it out officially or whatever. So that's why you don't see too much big talk about it across the media platforms. But it's coming out though. It's coming out. So I'm gonna leave the Andy Ruiz. I'm done with the Andy Ruiz situation. Ruiz beat AJ and sending him home was one of the best events of the era. He could have taken over boxing world if he had the discipline to do it. Man, couldn't he? Andy Ruiz would have been so rich right now. I mean, oh my God. Andy Ruiz could have been extremely rich if he would have been the one that defeat Anthony Joshua for a second time. His third fight with whoever that would have been, it wouldn't have been Anthony Joshua. It would have been an incredible check for Andy Ruiz that would have catapulted his career to a whole nother stratosphere easily. And if Andy Ruiz would have defended his titles and then went on to defend his titles again against somebody else, let's say he fought Deontay Wilder or whatever, definitely Andy Ruiz and would have got his biggest paycheck, and it would have been for Undisputed. It would have been absolutely huge, but he took the cash out. Andy Ruiz took the cash out. He cashed out, allowed Joshua to get his belts back. And he's been out the sport ever since. Now he comes back against another Mexican fighter, Chris Arreola, and really nobody's giving him any time of the day. Like, really, who's gonna pay $49.99 for that? I'm gonna be honest. I'm not doing it. I'm not paying $49.99 for that fight. I'm not doing it. No, I'm not doing it. $49.99 might be just pennies for some people. But I'm just saying, Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola. Arreola has been talking this retirement for I don't know how long. So knowing that he has that on the front side of his thought process, I'm not tuning in for that, man. And we don't even know how long the fight's gonna last, man. We don't know. I don't want to hear people, nobody that I've heard so far is bigging up Chris Arreola. Then I said, oh man, this might be his coming up fight. If he can go in there and beat Andy Ruiz, he gets the title. Nobody's doing that. I don't hear people doing it for damn Ruiz. I just don't hear it today, tomorrow, or yesterday. I just don't hear it. I ain't hearing nothing. I barely hear people talking about this fight. Period, y'all. I'm catching the replay for sure. For sure, man. I appreciate the support always, man. Believe me. Appreciate the support, man, from y'all. The regular ones, King Mitch, Michael, Andrew, J8. You know what I'm saying? Sir Ken in the building. Big Dog. Coach Chris pulled up. Tone Brown. You know what I'm saying? I appreciate y'all pulling up. Bruce. I just wanted to jump on here briefly and talk this shit about Andy Ruiz, man, because he's not getting no airplay, so to speak. I know some individuals that really need want to talk to him or whatever. But let me hold up, man. I know I was missing something. Hold up. I know I was missing something on here in my mental calendar. I know I was. I said something ain't right. Somebody's supposed to give me a call. And that I found out. It just hit me. I said, okay, cool. Now I know what I was missing. Now I know. I'm gonna go through some little brief topics. They say Triple G needs to move on from Canelo, say Demetrius Andrade. He does. He need to move the fuck on. And I'm not giving Gennady Golovkin any time of the motherfucking day. You know what I'm saying? Keith ain't fighting anyone with a chance to beat him. Tune up coming soon. He been out too long. Yeah, he been out too long, and no one's really talking about Keith. You know what I'm saying? But he's still a premier player. Like I say, I gotta stay true to myself. He has one loss though, and that was against a legend Manny Pacquiao. But nobody's really talking about Keith Thurman. They pretty much talking about Deontay Wilder being out for a year. You know, and it was a pandemic, and Tyson Fury been out for over a year too. Thurman only took Pac-Man fight because it was an offer he couldn't refuse. True. And that's what a lot of fighters do, man. They have that O and they just like, fuck it, man. I give my O up. I know I'm cashing out. Andrew saying the same shit I'm saying, man. Triple G, Canelo is dead, man. This dude is infatuated with getting back in there with Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez has made leaps and bounds and strides past Gennady Golovkin in his career. You know what I'm saying? Gennady Golovkin chose to stay in the middleweight division and campaign there extensively. Canelo Alvarez has chose to just move on. You know what I'm saying? Why wouldn't you, the same person, to just do the same thing? You should have moved up to 68, got that smoke. You're just waiting here like a good little puppy at middleweight with an IBF title that you truly lost. You know what I'm saying? He truly lost that shit. But now I hope the rumor mill is true that Jamal Charlo is thinking about trying to unify the middleweight division. I like it. Estrada versus Chocolito 3. Rangasai versus Quadras. Double hit in the works. People looking at this shit, right? And once again, I don't hear the distress signals about this fight right here. How Mauricio Suleiman inserted a franchise belt. No one's really talking about it because I guess they don't care because it's a super flyweight. And look, they actually believe that Chocolatito won that fight, but they feel like Mauricio Suleiman is doing boxing a favor by upgrading Juan Estrada, right, to the franchise champion, allow him to step back in there with Chocolatito again. I like Chocolatito though. I thought he actually won that rematch. I like Chocolatito. So this fight, from a sense of matchup wise, I like it. I like the matchup, but no one's making a big stink about the franchise belt. And I'm telling you, I might be dead. I might be off the mark, but I truly believe that the next franchise belt may potentially be in the junior middleweight division. That's what I think. I think the 154-pound division may be where the next franchise belt is delivered. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking. Already talked about Crawford and Pacquiao, of course. They talk about Max Kellum is saying he wants Artur Beterbiev versus Canelo Alvarez fight. A lot of us want that fight. A lot of us want that fight, but it's a dangerous fight for Canelo Alvarez. Beterbiev is a monster, man. Like he will get that business. You know, if Canelo goes in there against Beterbiev, and granted, we don't see no bullshit smoke screen like we got with Callum Smith. At that weight, like we thought the height of Callum Smith would give Canelo a problem. We thought the matchup was good, and he just didn't fight. Of course, we know Beterbiev is a different type of fighter now. We know that for a fact. We know that for a fact. It'll be a good, dangerous fight for Canelo Alvarez. If Canelo goes in there and make it look easy, I'm like, God damn, what the fuck? I'm like, hey, he good. You can't fuck with him. You can't suggest any more names up there. He go up there and fuck up Beterbiev. Who else are you gonna put in his way? Who else? I mean, I know this fight ain't coming no time soon because he wants Caleb Plant. And granted, he gets past Billy Joe Saunders, but who else can you? Who else can fuck with him? Canelo might as well move up the cruiserweight and get a belt. Many looming questions of the the welterweight division. Who does Porter and Thurman fight next? Who gives Ortiz a shot? Where does Mikey go now that Pac is fighting Crawford? Now, the one big question there, Mitch, that I would say, but deals with the same camp. It'd be good to see Ortiz get that work with Mikey Garcia, but that ain't gonna happen because they're in the same camp. Then I go back and say, okay, why not face a common opponent than some of the big names in the welterweight division has faced? Face a Porter. Try to get a Keith Thurman fight. You know what I'm saying? Try. If you really want to make a statement, I think Sean Porter's a bad matchup for Virgil Ortiz, to be honest. Somebody said earlier today, put Danny Garcia in that motherfucker. He still have just enough losses to be relevant. Real talk. Danny Garcia have just enough losses to be relevant. Put him in there with Virgil Ortiz. Jesse Vargas, believe it or not, Jesse Vargas isn't an easy fight for Virgil Ortiz. It isn't an easy fight. Jesse Vargas is one of those. He remind me of an older De La Hoya with no, clean cut guy, no personality. Just to give you that he gives you the look of a fighter, but his performance is going to be a banal, disinteresting, insipid, all those other words that saying it's just boring. But he's always down, man. He's always down. He's always game. He's always game, man. I think Charlo might get Triple G fight. Munguia is scheduled to fight someone. I forgot though. Yeah, Jaime Munguia is scheduled to fight. I forgot his name too. Damn. I was just thinking about who's Jaime Munguia's fighting. Anyway, I know some big fights going on in 54 though, especially on that card that's coming up with Emmanuel Navarrete, David Diaz, and then you have Sebastian Fundora is fighting Coda. I think you got Xander Zayas on that card, if I'm not mistaken. And then also you have Edgar Belenga on that card. It's gonna be it's gonna be a Latino affair for real. It's gonna be a Latino affair. You see they announced Edwards versus Diaz. I have to check that out. But Turbiev can be beat. A lot of fighters will say they can be beat. You know, a lot of people say Canelo can be beat, but motherfuckers keep on losing. They say Canelo can be beat too, but they keep on motherfucking losing, y'all. Nobody cares to see Mikey Garcia fight. Hey man, give Mikey Garcia his credit, man. He's a 4 division champ, bro. He's future Hall of Famer. You know what I'm saying? He's a future Hall of Famer, dog. You know, people look at Mikey Garcia and they don't even mention he's a multi-division champion. That's bad. That's crazy. They don't even mention it. Mikey Garcia is a 4 division champion. When they mention Mikey Garcia, they say Mikey Garcia. They don't really say multi-division champion. They don't do anything. They don't do none of that. Life and death with Jesse Vargas. Yep. Canelo will fight Beterbiev in 2023 on late notice immediately after a tough better be fight. Yeah, for real, man. Yep, for real. Canelo gonna get that man motherfucking 3.5 weeks, and then he gonna put a motherfucking weight clause in the contract. They're gonna say you have to be a pound below. You can't be equal. You gotta be a pound below, and then you cannot rehydrate. 2 pounds higher. Shit, yeah, they're gonna put all the motherfucking clause in there for real. Okay, so this is something else to be locked in for. Unless Eddie Hearns is capping. All right. Eddie Hearns said a site deal for Joshua versus Fury will be locked in this week. Now the time is ticking on this right here, and they're about down to 14 days. So Eddie Hearns, I'm not even gonna say the cliche. I hope he's right, because I ain't trying to see this. I ain't trying to see this. I'm only trying to see one fight on the return. I'm not trying to see this. So Eddie Hearns saying a site deal is gonna be locked in this week. Me knowing Eddie Hearns, he sometimes put out some okay shit, and sometimes he cap a lot. Eddie Hearns been known to cap a lot. So, do they truly have a site deal? I don't know, but I'm not hoping anything that they do. I'm not encouraging that shit. I'm not encouraging anything dealing with that site deal. Bronze Bomber, keep your foot on the motherfucking throat. That's all I can say. Keep your foot on the throat. These motherfuckers, no. Keep fighting, goddamn it. Keep fighting. Demetrius Andrade versus say Liam Williams is better than Canelo's last opponent. Man, it's certain fighters that I come across like Demetrius Andrade, who has a lot of fans out here that believe in him. And he's a 2 division champion, which not too many people even bring up in conversation unless it's Canelo Alvarez. People say, Crawford said this, that Canelo is ducking certain black fighters. Canelo is ducking certain black fighters. No, they're talking about they believe he's ducking Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade, not ducking all black fighters. You can't reinvent motherfucking fillers in narratives, to make it controversial. That's why you have to listen to people who would take SOME and turn it to all and then make it about race. Whatever Terrence Crawford said is what he said. But what I know is Canelo Alvarez should have fought one of these fighters who happen to be black like me, Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade. You know why he should have fought him? Because he already fought Triple G. So why not give the brothers another chance? Since you say you're not fighting Mexican fighters no more, fight Demetrius Andrade or Jamal Charlo. It's pure simple. What's wrong? They say Deontay Wilder could claim could claim for damages for Tyson Fury facing Anthony Joshua, says Barbara Arum. Shout out to the Bronze Bomber. It goes on to say in Boxing 24, Deontay Wilder case is expected to decide by May. Okay, by May. So that means they're going to be out the ring for a whole nother month. Wilder case is expected to be decided by May. And he said worse, there could be a claim for damages, the Bronze Bomber's part. But okay, there could be a claim for damages, the Bronze Bomber's part. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. Hold up for a second. Let me see if I'm reading this right. Okay, they say the title Deontay Wilder could claim for damages. And then inside this, I always try to damn proofread these motherfuckers. Deontay Wilder case is expected to decide by May. And he says at worst, there could be a claim for damages, the Bronze Bomber part. Okay, but Arum doesn't see the Anthony Joshua versus Fury fight stop from happening in June or whenever the match gets made. So if this is somehow is supposed to be concluding in May, Bob Arum is saying he doesn't see the Anthony Joshua versus Fury fight being stopped from happening in June. So they're trying to have this fight in June? Is that what I'm hearing? They trying to. So how long is the fight cap in this bitch? So if this shit is being like, let's just say May, you don't really know if the fight's happening or not. So is fight camp started for these two yet? And you're trying to say you're going to give them what, a 5-week training camp? Let's just say the shit concludes May 1st. May, June, that's going to give them a bit over 4 weeks. A little bit over 5 weeks if it goes into, I'm not sure what part of June they're talking about, but that's going to be a little bit over 5 weeks for a fight camp. I can really give a fuck. Seriously. I'm just talking about the benefit of Deontay Wilder and what's going to come out this arbitration. It's known how much money Fury might end up paying Wilder if he awarded damages for not getting his contractual rematch. Could it be millions? If so, Fury might have been better off fighting Wilder again rather than choosing to move on. With Wilder and his many boxing fans believing Wilder was such an easy fight for him, it's odd that he could choose not to fight him again. It makes no sense. Let me read that again, because once again, I'm a Wilder fanboy. You know what I'm saying? That's what I've been called several times over by multiple whole ass niggas out here on YouTube. With Fury and his many boxing fans believing Wilder was such an easy fight for him, it's odd that he would choose not to fight them again. I get it. Not only would Fury make massive money in the third fight with Wilder, but it would also make 2 fights with Joshua bigger in theory. Yeah, it made bigger 2 fights with Joshua bigger in theory without the motherfucking belt. Boxing 24. Know what the fuck you talking about? You talking about a third fight with Wilder, but it would also make the fight 2 fights with Joshua bigger. You insinuated he gonna go in there and win the trilogy, homie? Better stop fucking playing. Why avoid Wilder if there's so much to gain in fighting him? Ask those questions, bro. Because once again, I'm called a Wilder fanboy. But they asking the questions. Why avoid Wilder if there was so much to gain in fighting him? That's something that the only Fury knows. He got to have a reason for why he chose to walk away from this contractual rematch with the American. Either way that you look at it, Fury lose a lot of money, but not fighting Wilder. If Fury had taken the fight with Wilder, the payday would have been huge. Absolutely. But people are not thinking about the payday. They're just thinking that Wilder should retire with 1 fight just to comfort them, you know what I'm saying, and relieve their anxiety by having an all UK undisputed heavyweight fight. I get it. It's hard to fathom how much money Fury would have made in a third fight with Deontay. That is in arbitration, and the arbiter will decide, said Bob Arum to Barbershop Conversations when asked about what happened with the Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. Shout out to Barbershop Conversation. He has some big, some top tier interviews on his channel for real. Uh, no, really and truly, nobody anticipates that there be an injunction. At worst, there might be a claim for damages. I think it was scheduled that we'll finally get a determination sometimes in May. I won't go into that, said Aaron. We asked the option when asked what option there are for Anthony, Joshua, and Fury. So let me read that one more time. I think it was scheduled that we'll finally get a determination sometime in May. I can't go into that, said Aaron. When asked what options there are for Anthony, Joshua, and Fury. Okay, of course he can't go into it because he don't know it. Fury literally walked away from a fight that will likely pay him tens of millions against Wilder. It'll be worse for Fury if he has to pay for damage to Wilder for not fighting him again. Yeah, it'd be. Pay him that money. Pay him the motherfucking check. You know, he should come off that belt too. There's a double whammy. Fury might as well have stuck it out with the Wilder fight and hope for the best. If Fury is really as good as he think he is, he should have had no problem beating Wilder in the trilogy. And this is amazing coming from this news outlet. I'm gonna have to motherfucking put this. I'm about to copy this link and put it elsewhere. For real. I have to put this link somewhere else. This is pretty much a pretty decent article. I'm not saying all of them are. So, Fury might as well stuck it out with the Wilder fight and hope for the best. If Fury is he really as good as you think he is, he should have had no problems being Wilder in the trilogy. Of course, if Fury win last year over Deontay Wilder was a fluke thing, he could get knocked out. There are already many boxing fans who believe that Fury should have been stopped in the first fight with Wilder in 2018. That was the famous fight in which the referee gave a count to Fury while he laid on the cameras out cold in the 12th. That was strange looking for many fans to see referee give a count to a knocked out fighter. You definitely don't see that too often. I agree. And you know, when I asked Jack Reese that, it's a problem. But he said did it the spirit for boxing. Raider in the building. What's good, man? Mikey's best weight is 140. His entire team agrees. Both Big G, Robert, and Greed, top rank, super light, sold up. I like Mike and Regis at 140, no belt, so unlikely good fight though. Raider, what's good, man? A Canelo question. How's Canelo going to fight Charlo when Charlo didn't take the offer to fight Canelo? I mean, that's not a question that really makes any sense to me. It's just the same thing. You know, my point was just rehashing what Crawford said. I think Canelo should fight Charlo. I don't want to, it's not really any questions to ask how is. If a fighters could somehow fight one another and they agree, cool. But you asking me a question makes no sense when Canelo is going to fight Billy Joe Saunders and then Caleb Plant. You know what I'm saying? Charlo was never in the picture. Charlo is not in the picture for the next several months outside of 2021, Raider. Appreciate the question, though, my brother. Wilder got to stay active. I agree. They should honor the contract. Fury not ready to fight. Look at him. Fuck that dude. J8, that's cool, but AB wants nothing to do with the welterweight, even though he can't make 140. The article go on to say, whatever reason the fight didn't get made last year, now Fury has chosen to move on rather than give Wilder a rematch. Obviously, it would have been better for Fury to stick it out and fight Wilder again, but you can understand why he might have viewed the Joshua match as hard to resist. There would have been massive risk for Fury in the third fight with Wilder. And if Gypsy King were to lose his money fight against AJ, would have gone down the drain. Of course it would have. Come on now. Eddie Hearns has a loot. Eddie Hearns has a loose, and he see this is what I'm talking about with them. Check. They say Eddie Hearn has a loose. And he speaks whoever he wants. So you want to say Eddie Hearn has loose lips and he speaks whatever. But but under our contract between Joshua and Fury and the various promoters, we're embargoed from going into who we're talking to and where the fight will be held until we arrive at a determination. And there can be a joint announcement. I know that Eddie Hearn has been violating that, but I'm not going to. Definitely said Aram when asked if it's a possible for Fury to fight twice in 2021. Why wouldn't I give him 2 fights this year? You have to understand, all of these guys have not been active as normal would be because of the pandemic. And somebody need to tell all them cats over there that laugh when, Wilder's been out the sport for a year, when you have sound-minded, competent people, journalists like myself, reading the article, and what did they say? You have to understand, all of these guys have not seen have been as active as they normally would because of the pandemic. Now, it would be criminal not to have Fury fight twice this year. If he fights in June, he can fight in November or December, said Aaron. They're over. They're over. They're finished. They're done, said Aaron. Ask about the Anthony Joshua versus Fury negotiation. Because they're over, they're done. Okay, they got it all figured out. The fight have signed, and now we're waiting to firm up a site date. So they're waiting for a site date for everything to happen because the contract is dried, right? The ink is dried. Now, obviously, it's not easy as normally would be because of the pandemic. A country that wants to stage the fight and put up a big site fee may look and say they've had so many COVID cases last week or last month that they don't know when they're going to be open up. So it's very, very delicate. Have nothing to do with the fight. It's really a logistics challenge. I bet it is a logistics challenge, but it's a Wilder challenge right now. So, to the Bronze Bomber, continue to do what you do, man. You have so many loving fans here waiting on you, all your fanboys and everything. And to the Deontay Wilder haters, you continue to put forth that energy and perform. You know what I'm saying? Scratch your motherfucking eyeballs out. So when next time he does come back to the ring, you won't be able to see his silhouette. That's all you got to do. Don't be so angry. Don't hate, appreciate. Real talk. Don't hate, appreciate, shawty. But that was a pretty good article. It seems to change the tone a little bit, my people. It does. It changed the tone a little bit. But Eddie Hearns has said in May, so give or take, May will absolutely. We're about to head into. I'm not sure if that's absolutely correct, because that would be the amount of days they have to have a site fee will conclude in April. So April is pending. So in May, I guess they're going to make an announcement. But to be honest with you, 15 days is going to end next month. That shit is going to end next month. Real talk. Interesting. Fury not ready to fight. Look at him. Jade, that's cool. So we're going to wait till Canelo leaves 160. So let me entertain Raider for a second, because, when Canelo name comes up, people get agitated. Hopefully you're not agitated, Raider, because this wasn't the Canelo agitating show. So we're going to wait till Canelo leaves 160. Who is we? Who is we? I need to know who we is. So they're going to wait till Canelo leaves 160 and then say, why is Canelo not fighting Charlo now? Got you. Well, okay. I mean, if you choose to say that, when Canelo was actually petitioning the franchise belt, he himself made it perfectly clear he didn't have any plans to fight Jamal Charlo. First of all right, he petitioned for something that wasn't there. So he already had in his mind with Mauricio Suleiman, he was going to be the first franchise champion. So he was able to get up out that division and not face Jamal Charlo. Okay. So if he did that on the franchise, he definitely wasn't facing Demetrius Andrade. So what are you saying exactly? But when Canelo and Charlo were both at 160, Charlo doesn't accept the Canelo fight. What doesn't he accept about the Canelo fight? When you said that Canelo that Charlo wasn't ready, you know that little snippet that's out there. Jamal Charlo said he wasn't ready. Charlo doesn't accept the Canelo fight, and nobody says nothing. But Canelo moved out of the division, and now Charlo wants to fight. So Raider, I'm just asking. I'm just telling you. And matter of fact, look, Raider. I know some people like to come over here and don't really, hop on the panel, but that's the link if you choose to advocate for another Mexican fighter outside of Andy Ruiz. Y'all ain't showing you ain't saying showing Andy Ruiz no love. You just coming over here talking about Canelo like you proved my point. People come over here and talk about Canelo, but you ain't talking about Andy Ruiz and Chris Arreola. What's going on with that? They ain't in the Mexican flavor. You ain't in the Mexican spirit right now. The red, white, and green. I mean, that ain't it. You just want to come over here and talk about Canelo? You ain't showing no love to Andy Ruiz, the former unified champion, first Mexican to do it? You wonder what Fury excuses is going to be when he gets back in the ring, get defeated by Wilder. I know, man. If he goes in there and when he goes in there and loses against Wilder, right? I hope Tyson Fury excuse is not something that you know his motherfucking egg weights couldn't come in or whatever, or the gloves that he was using just didn't fit him properly this time, vice the other ones. It was a little bit too stiff and more regulated. You know what I'm saying? And also, I just want him to try to convince people. Like they asked, so why you didn't get the knockdown? No knockdowns this fight. Well, me and Sugar Hill just worked on something more fundamentally sound. So how do you feel, Tyson Fury, by not defending any of your titles, the titles that you won against Vladimir Klitschko, and the title that you somehow was awarded when the tower came in against Deontay Wilder? How does it feel seeing him regain his title, and now you left with what the fuck I do? Am I still getting a title shot with Anthony Joshua for the remainder of the titles, or what? I mean, what's going to happen, Raider? I'm just curious. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? And with the Charlo deal, it's not something that they just have one time to request to fight a fighter. Like if these fighters in campaign in the same division, they chose not to fight each other at one point in time in their career, does that pretty much consummate everything about it? Does it? I'm just curious. What's going on, Raider?
Yo, what's up? What's cracking?
What's good, man? What's cracking, man? Talk your shit about Canelo. No, I mean, what you're saying in general about Charlo, about the point where you making that he didn't want to fight Canelo when he was at 60.
No, I jumped in on your channel when and I heard something about Canelo and Charlo and Andrade. That's when I jumped in. So I didn't really hear what you were talking about Andy Ruiz, but I fuck with Andy Ruiz too. I don't have no issues with Andy Ruiz.
No, I was just basically saying that a lot of people are basically getting upset about what Crawford said and switching words around. They trying to say he said, well, Canelo ducked all black athletic fighters, which is not true. And he was insinuating that he ducked some. He's not fighting some of the big names right here. And the only big names from 60 up is going to be Jamel Charlo. I mean, not Jamel Charlo. It's going to be Terrence Crawford. I mean, what am I talking about? Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade. They're the only two black fighters is out here that Terrence Crawford can be talking about. That's it. It's nothing. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah, I don't agree with him ducking anybody. I don't think he ducks anybody. I think the issue might be a style. Not necessarily has to be a black dude. Just because you're black doesn't mean you have that style, right? Billy Joe Saunders is probably more elusive, more slick than Jamal Charlo, in my opinion. And I'm not the only person that says that. But as far as him ducking uh Andrade and Charlo, I don't believe that's true. You know what I mean? I don't, not for 1 second. Let me ask you this: who would you favor in those fights?
I know Jamal Charlo would be a good contest for Canelo at 60 because Charlo is pretty strong at 60. So, taking into consideration of what Canelo has been able to do at 68 and 75, of course it's going to be a tough fight for Charlo. It's going to be his toughest fight of his career. You know what I'm saying? I can't tell you who's going to win. I don't know. I know Jamal Charlo is going to be strong at 160, and Canelo, who's fought at 160 at one point in time in his career, he's going to be strong. So it's a 50-50 fight. I really can't tell you who's going to win.
Yeah, I wouldn't have it 50-50. I haven't seen enough from Charlo to give him a 50-50 fight with Canelo. You know what I mean? I I I I believe in resumes. Um, it's not just who you fight, right? It's, I mean, it is who you fight. Level of competition. Do you believe in level of competition?
Correct.
Yeah, right. So, uh, fighting Dennis Hogan and Adams and Derenchenko, I do like that fight. That was a good fight. Derenchenko, even though he's lost
He's a solid
his
gatekeeper
big
now.
fights, yeah, it's a solid win for sure. I'm not discrediting that at all.
He's a solid
You know,
gatekeeper.
yeah, no, but it's a solid win for
Yeah.
Jamal. I said for sure. I'm not discrediting that whatsoever. Even though Derenchenko has uh has lost his big fights,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was in those big fights and made them close, where he could have probably won some of those, right? That's why I that's important to me. Level of competition. Um, Before Derenchenko, he I think he had like 5 fights or something like that, or 6 fights, or something like that at 160, who were, that level of competition wasn't good at all. You know what I mean? Like, it was not good. Derenchenko was a real good fight. So I by beating Derenchenko, is that enough to beat Canelo with Canelo, the people that Canelo has faced? I don't, you know what I mean? I don't see that at 50-50 fight
I mean,
to
you
be.
have to understand sometimes people, when they're training for a fight, and let's just say, for instance, Canelo, how big his name is, obviously people are going to step up their training and step up everything because this is the biggest fight of their career. You know what I'm saying? You can take their resume. Their resume have nothing to do with that night that they sign that contract and they start to train for Canelo Alvarez. This is a whole different fight. Why? Because they have so much footage on Canelo. So they can study, train, and get in there and do the best they can against Canelo Alvarez. Forget about the
Yeah.
resume and all that. I think, once we talk about level of competition, this is going to be their highest level, and they better be able to step up and perform.
Yeah, I agree with that. Especially if you're fighting the pound for pound guy, right? You're gonna want to be at your best. Yeah, for sure.
I
The
can
only
guarantee
problem
you
with
he's
that
not going to be
is,
an Abney Yildirim.
yeah, no, yeah, Abney Yildirim, yeah, that was a mandatory. So I mean, he wanted to get that. That was basically like a free fight because he fought like what, in December, and then he fought in February.
Yep.
So I mean, that was like 2 months. I mean, that usually he fights 2 times a year, maybe 3 times a year, right? So usually fights in September's and May if there's no complications. So he fought in December, then he fought in February, which is basically a free fight. Just be like, all right, let me get this out of the way, so no issues come with him trying to get undisputed, right? Uh, but just like you said, these guys come to fight, especially if it's against somebody like Canelo. The only issue is, I mean, these guys have all lost, well, except Floyd. You know what I mean?
Who?
They all the
Jamal
guys
don't
that
have a
come.
loss.
No, the guys that they fought against when they fought against Canelo,
Oh
they
yeah, they
lost against
lost.
Canelo.
They lost. They
Yeah,
sure
so
did.
I mean, uh, yeah, I mean, as far as the Andrade thing, he is a slick fighter. He's a good fighter, but also too level of competition too. I mean, this guy, I mean, he's fought, his level of competition is worse than Charlo's.
It's really no way that we're going to be able to raise the bar on the level of competition in the middleweight division. It's no way, because if you expect the champions to fight down the number one and two in their division, that's not an advancement. You know what I'm saying? If they go in there and wax them, that's not them advancing any closer to Canelo Alvarez. Who are they going to fight? They if they want to advance toward Canelo Alvarez, they either have to move up to 68 or they have to fight Canelo Alvarez. Canelo will have to oblige them by dropping back down to middleweight and fighting them.
Well, I mean, at 160, they can fight each other, right?
Absolutely, they can, but you know how that goes. You know the shit with Demetrius Andrade ducking out of a motherfucking fight, won more money previously, and shit. So of course, let's go with Gennady Golovkin, try to make that fight.
Yeah, I mean, think about this, right? I mean, just like you said, right? I mean, you have Andrade there, you have Charlo there, you had
Yola
Williams
Morata,
there,
yeah.
you have Murata, you got Derenchenko there, you had Daniel Jacobs there. I mean, there was fights to make there, and it just seemed like nobody's fighting each other, and it's just like, what's going on right here? You can't really. It's like Canelo, right? If Canelo is at 160 and pretend he didn't fight Triple G and he didn't fight Daniel Jacobs, he was fighting guys that are ranked eighth, ninth, 10th. I mean, how what would uh, you can't say that Canelo is the best at 160 if he's fighting those guys, right? And if he's making them look like he did against Anthony Yildirim, they're gonna be like, "Whoa, this guy is good," right? So I mean, you have to step up your game and try to fight and make these fights happen somehow against these other champions or these top five guys, so you
You
can
talking
stand
about
out.
who? Charlo?
Anybody, any of those guys, not just Charlo, Andrade, Derenchenko, Triple G, all those dudes.
I think one of the best fights out there for Canelo right now is Jamal Charlo.
I don't know. I
I
think,
think one of the best fights out there as far as size, strength, and a fight to test himself, because Jamal Charlo has already took a loss against a boxer, and people are looking for Jamal Charlo to step up and face one of the bigger names in the sport. The only bigger name he can face isn't Demetrius Andrade. Gennady Golovkin, who has stepped in there with Canelo twice, cool, but he's old. He's getting to that point. Okay, cool. That'd be good for unification. But really, the bigger name right here that's close to his accessibility would be Canelo Alvarez if he chose to come back down.
yeah. Let me ask you this. Uh, do you think being a bigger name is a better fight, or does the opponent um skills have anything to do with it? Like, what I'm trying to say is, like, Charlo is definitely a way bigger fight than Andrade and Canelo and Andrade. Charlo and Canelo is a bigger fight than Canelo and Andrade, for sure. I agree with that 100%. But isn't Andrade the athletic, slick fighter that will give Canelo more problems, as people are saying?
I mean, I hear that all the time, but once again, his competition has been so subpar. People are not really looking for Andrade, like that. Like, I understand where you're getting at. They praise him a lot for his skill set, and we're just waiting to see it. What fight of recent? What's his last two fights that you can say that you've seen it? When have we seen all that?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Why would Canelo duck Andrade then?
because Andrade may be a tougher fight skill wise. Um, out of the blue, like sometimes you just can't look and put a visual on a fighter and expect them to fight top names when there's no top names around except the champions in your division. So Demetrius have to look at Charlo looking at freaking Gennady. Demetrius looking at Gennady, which it doesn't even have no energy of him facing Gennady Golovkin. So if you have two solid oppositions down there at 160 that you haven't faced, you face Triple G, but you ain't faced Jamal Charlo or Demetrius Andrade. Forget about who looks the best. He has to make a choice that they both are champions. You want to go with the WBC champion, or do you want to go with the WBO champion? Canelo has to make a choice if he indeed was down at 160 to make that fight. I think Mar Charlo and Canelo would be better than Demetrius Andrade. But somehow Demetrius Andrade, the people say he much dangerous for Canelo.
Yeah, do you agree with that or no?
Hell no, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with that. I mean, when it comes to Demetrius Andrade, I just have to shake my head sometimes. I'm like, I'm still waiting for you to have that come out fight where you can shine. I'm just waiting on you to have something that I can say, okay, cool. But Jamal, I think he'll be a very solid fight for Canelo Alvarez, man.
I want to see that fight too. Don't get me wrong. I think that's like a probably like a 66 six. I'll give Charlo maybe a 40% chance, maybe. I think that's like a 60-40 fight, and I'm going based off of level of opposition. Skills obviously, and mostly level opposition. I mean, if you're facing top competition, against somebody that has fought maybe one top competition, it doesn't mean that the guy that's fought one top competition doesn't mean he's not good. It's just you're going based off of what you've seen, right? What's on paper.
Mm-hmm. So
So
what
that
who you consider Canelo's best opposition since leaving 160?
since leaving 160, well,
Yeah,
he's had. Let me see. He fought Kovalev. He fought what's his
Callum
face?
Smith, right?
Callum Smith and fucking
And it
Yildirim.
stops there. It stops there.
Yeah, 3 fights. So from those
Not
three
not
guys,
not
which one?
Rocky Fielding, not Rocky Fielding, but Kovalev and Callum Smith. He had two good fights since leaving 160. So therefore, we exclude Avni Yildirim and we exclude Rocky Fielding. So he had pretty two decent fights. Multi-time world champion Sergey Kovalev, and then went the distance with Callum Smith. Two good fights.
Yeah. I mean, those guys were champions too. You know what I mean?
Correct. So I'm saying he fight Jamal Charlo. I mean, did anybody know Callum Smith any more than they know Jamal Charlo? No, they know Jamal Charlo more than both of them guys, besides Kovalev.
Well, yeah. Let me ask you this, right? So, being a champion, right? Does that have any weight for you as far as because there's some people that say, oh, he's picking the weaker champions. Is a champion to you, or does that not matter?
No, the champion ain't a champion. A champion just can't be a champion. There's so many belts in boxing. So a champion can't just be a champion, even though, we have the WBA world titleist and you have the WBA super. But we all know Rocky Fielding was a subpar opposition. He was a champion, but he was subpar. You know what I'm saying? The ones we respected was the multi-time world champions and freaking Sergey Kovalev. But yet he was old a little bit. But Canelo gets credit for that. You know what I'm saying? This is the same guy who dropped back down to face Callum Smith, who's a legitimate champion. It's just Callum Smith looked like shit and act like he didn't want to engage, but he was a legitimate champion.
Yeah, I see I see a pattern, right, with these guys not engaging with Canelo, right? I saw it with Chavez Jr. I saw it with Callum Smith, and I even saw it a little bit with Kovalev. Kovalev basically was just using his jab all night, not throwing his right. I think a lot of credit has to do with Canelo's counterpunching. People are scared to engage with him because of his counterpunching. Uh, and also Canelo's head movement, slipping and dodging punches. I mean, you think about it. You're throwing all these punches, and this guy is dodging a lot of them. Not all of them, but a good more than any other fighter. And you're missing, and then he's countering. It kind of makes you not want to throw sometimes. You know what I mean? I've seen it. I've seen it, and people discredit the win, and they say, oh, this guy's is fixed. This guy didn't throw. This guy's not throwing. So I mean, and also too, you got to remember too, these are the big stages, the big lights. Look at Anthony Europe. That fool looked like he didn't even belong in that ring. Like maybe the lights got to him. Maybe he was fucking
The
stage fright or
lights.
something. Yeah,
The
like
lights.
the not the lights, not literally the
He
lights,
was
but
in
you know what I mean,
motherfucking
like the
shock that he was even gracing the square with Canelo. That's what
yeah,
that
that's what I'm
was.
saying. Like the environment. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, this is a big event. Stage fright is what I'm trying to say. Who knows if it was that or he just fucking sucks or is both of them? Who knows? Or is Canelo that good? We don't know, right? The thing is that these guys are not engaging the way that they do against other fighters, and I'm trying to figure out why. Is it you give Canelo credit, or is it these guys stage fright, or is it these guys are not throwing punches because of whatever reason? You know what I mean? But I think Canelo has a lot to do with that. To be honest, I think Jamar Charlo and Canelo Alvarez will be a good fight. I think Canelo wins that unanimous decision, maybe by knockout.
Knockout.
Yeah,
You don't think Charlo can knock out Canelo?
he could. I'm not gonna
No,
say
I'm
no.
saying because a lot of people feel that Canelo is just invincible with his defense when it comes to being knocked out. But
No, I mean, every fight's different. I mean, you never know. I mean,
I'm just
but
saying, to
does
be honest, I don't
does
think Charlo can knock him out. I think he can box him for sure, but I don't think Charlo has presented. He went the distance with Derevchenko, so I don't see him knocking out Canelo. But I do see him putting on a damn good, solid boxing match, though.
I, to be honest, I think Canelo. I'm not gonna say it's an easy fight, but I think Canelo wins that convincingly, like convincingly. I did.
Nick,
I mean, does I mean, do you think Charlo beats? Who do you think Charlos can beat Benavides?
we have to wait till he get up in there. It'll be a good fight with Benavidez for real, because Charlo is already big for 160. I hear give Benavidez a really good fight, man. Like, you gotta understand that Benavidez in a lot of ways is undisciplined. I know he's lost the weight and everything and did what he had to do, but he has to keep that weight off. He has to remain sober. There's certain things outside of his personal life that he's a part of that reflects upon him tipping those scales the right way, and also his performance. So I'm gonna tell you, Charlo will be a very good fight for David Benavidez, man. Very solid fight at 168. He's big. He can grow into that division really good, but overall it'll be a damn good fight. Skill for skill, them landing punches and boxing one another. In a lot of ways, I feel that Jamar Charlo is a better boxer than David Benavidez. David squares up a lot. You know what I'm saying? He has everything there for you to hit, but he does pressure you. David
Yeah,
Benavidez just pressure the shit out of you.
yeah. I think Benavides is more of a fighter than Charlo, but I think Charlo is a better boxer than Benavides. I'm not gonna argue that. Um, I mean, you can tell with the skills, right? It just matters on who you display those skills against. For me, you know, uh, that would be a badass fight, though. I would love to see that. But
What do you think about
Charlo,
Mitch? Go
huh?
ahead.
No, but Charlo's at 160 and
Correct.
Benavides at 168,
Yeah, I'll say
right?
I say he's still. Charlo has the frame to go to 168. It's just all about what he's trying to do if he chooses to move up there without a tune up. If he chooses to face Benavidez, who's a chubby kid anyway, but he's going to be bigger than Charlo anyway on fight night at 168. So it all depends on if he chooses to get himself acclimated or he goes straight for David Benavidez. That'll be a tough opening, you know. And
Yeah.
Mitch said if you duck certain styles, that qualifies you to be labeled a duck.
If
You
you
want to
dug,
you want to
what
respond
style
to
is
that?
that? Yeah, easily. What style is he referring to? A slick boxer?
Why everybody mentioning slick boxer and then say, "Oh, it's comparable to all black fighters"?
No, but I'm just saying he said a certain style. I want to know what style is he referring to.
What style you talking about, there, Mitch? He say 60-40 is not conventionally though, especially for a known Canelo fan. Charlo Benavidez would be a great matchup. It would, but yeah,
Yeah, if he's
what
gonna
certain
say it's
styles?
slick, like a slick style, I mean Canelo is gonna fight Billy Joe Saunders. If you see how he fought fucking David Lemieux, I was pretty slick, way slicker than a Jamal Charlo is. That's for sure, 100%. Charlo has a different style. He's not a slick boxer. Andrade is not Jamal. Jamal is he's a boxer puncher kind of guy.
So who you have winning between Andrade and Jamal Charlo?
Charlo. Yeah, I mean Andrade he's a good boxer, but I think he's kind of chinny, kind of clumsy sometimes. You know what I mean? But
So do you consider Canelo a slick boxer?
nah, not really. Nah, he's not a slick boxer. He doesn't. He's not because I mean, Canelo usually he needs to plant his feet, right? But that's his style. He doesn't need to move around. He doesn't need to do that. You know, he uses very little movement. If you see how when he moves his head and he dodges punches, he just moves just enough to get out of the way to counter. He doesn't use extra movement and waste all this energy like he used to before. You know, he used very little movement, as little as possible. So he doesn't move around that much. I mean, he doesn't need because he just counters now. I mean, he's not the same fighter from like 7 years ago where he's going, the distance and getting tired at the end and chasing these guys down and not cutting off the ring as good. He's not that no more.
So if Canelo Alvarez is able to go over here, defeat Billy Joe Saunders, I ain't saying if, when, and then he fight Caleb Plant. Let's say he unify the middleweight division. What would you suggest Canelo Alvarez do? Who should he fight now? Because the motherfucking the roster is short.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would if he does that, and he's undisputed. Just say he's undisputed. If Benavides is still there, I would like to see him fight Benavides. If Jamal Charlo is at 168 at that time, I would like to see that too. If Canelo says, you know what, I want to fucking take my talents to 175 and fight Beterbiev or Bivol, I wouldn't hate that either. I mean, there's fights he can take. You know what I mean? There's fights definitely that he could take. I wouldn't mind any of those fights. I would fucking love it.
So you actually think he can have a pretty decent go at Beterbiev?
Oh hell yeah! I think he can beat Beterbiev. I think he'll have. I think the only person that might beat Canelo is probably Bivol.
Mm.
Bivol's was a fucking beast, dude. I mean, Baturvia is a beast too, but I think
Saber's
Bivol.
a beaver. I mean, isn't he the one that sit there and retired Bostic? Alexander Bostic?
Oh, but that was a badass fight. Did you see that fight? That was a
I know,
fucking.
man, but he shut him down, man. He ain't fought since.
Yeah, no, yeah, but I mean, dude, that fight was close, dude. That was a close fight. That was a badass fight. That was when Canelo announced the Kovalev fight. Vacic and Baturiev hadn't fought yet. So Kovalev was like I think one of the top two light heavyweights at that time. Only after Baturiev beat Vacic, then they were saying that Baturiev was the number one for sure, because now he beat Vacic. But yeah, no. Who do you want him to fight if he does become undisputed?
I would want to see him fight a Jamal Charlo, David Benavidez. No, they're the only two names I want to see him fight. Why? Because I believe Canelo just abandoned the 160-pound division when there was still work to do. So he's proven to the people he can unify 168. After he unifies the 168-pound division, should be no excuse that, okay, come down here and fight some names. You know what I'm saying? It might not be as more popular than you, Canelo, but you're the man right now. Go give a chance for these guys to grace the ring like you did with Floyd. You know what I'm saying? Give them the opportunity. You already done completed most of your damn Hall of Fame shit. Go down there and face Jamal Charlo and David Benavidez. Even though David is at 68 anyway, but
yeah. So you said Benavidez and Charlo, right?
Yeah.
So if Charlo is still at 160, say by the end of September or whatever, you want Canelo to go down to 160 and fight Charlo?
No, I never said for him to go to 160. I've been
I
really
thought
pushing.
I thought you said 160.
No, I just said, if I said 160, I meant 168. Because Charlo has mentioned moving up. So by the time he steps out with Caleb Plant, he should already start the ascension. Go ahead and step up that ladder and try to see if you can get that fight. Because I think Canelo Alvarez won't have such a problem going down there, fighting you at 168. It's dependent if he's not taking a fight at 175. But yeah, go up there to 168 and fight Canelo. Either David Benavidez or Jamal Charlo. I want to see that.
So let me ask you this: so if you don't want Canelo to go to 160, and Canelo, let me ask you this: do you think Canelo is ducking Jamal Charlo if he's saying he wants to be undisputed at 168?
Ducking? How can he?
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm asking you.
If he's ducking Jamal Charlo by unifying a higher, tougher division.
Yeah, well, like the narrative or not the narrative, but like what what's his name, Crawford, saying that he's avoiding these guys.
Him saying he avoiding doesn't mean that he's basically how you put
the reason I'm saying avoiding is because of the word, right? He never said avoided. He said avoiding, meaning he
might be avoiding them. He might be avoiding them.
Well, that's what I'm asking you. That's what I'm asking you. Do you think
he might be avoiding Charlo and Andre because they're at 160 and they haven't really made the point to feel like they're gonna move anywhere. So it may be that Canelo. Look, I feel that Canelo abandoned the vision, man, when there was still work to be done. So he might be avoiding Charlo and Demetrius Andrade because there's still work to be done. He was not so long ago. He vacated his WBA title. I mean, come on, not too long ago. So why didn't he show him no love when he was down there? What's the point of that? Why didn't Canelo show him love while he was at 160?
No, because I'm saying because you were saying right now that he's not avoiding them because he's fighting in a higher division and against champions.
Correct. But the only way
I'm
that I
confused.
would,
That's why I'm kind of confused. You're saying that he is, and then you're saying that he's not because he's fighting at 168 against champions. But then
what
right now
I
you
think
said that he may be
I think
avoiding them.
your initial question, you asked me, did I think?
Yeah, yeah. Now I'm asking your opinion.
Okay, me thinking he's avoiding them by fighting in the higher division. I'm saying yes. I'm thinking because he's able to do what the fuck he wants to do, right? But me saying he's avoiding them, it's almost saying he doesn't care to go back down to 160 and fight him. Like that's just simple, a simple
No,
thought process.
no, I know, but it's because you're. I'm listening to everything you're saying, but you're
I'm
kind
not
of
saying he's
confusing.
ducking them.
Hold on. Let me finish. I'm getting kind of confused because earlier you said I asked you if you would like to see Canelo fight Charlo at 160, and then you said no.
You said at 160.
Yeah, remember? And you said no. You said 168 because he's trying to move up.
I might have been thinking in the process of Charlo. I mean, of Canelo not wanting to come down to 160. I don't think
Oh,
Canelo is going to come down to 160 to oblige Charlo.
yeah.
If
I'm
I
not
said
trying
no
to.
to 160, I
I'm
probably
not trying
meant it
to.
in
I'm
that
not trying to jam
perspective.
you up. I'm not trying to jam you up. I'm just trying
Oh, you're
to.
not jamming me up, man. It's just boxing talk. I'm not
Yeah,
getting
yeah, no,
jammed.
but I'm just trying to, because I'm confused. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of confused because we said earlier. Well, I told you, you want to see Canelo go back down to 160 and fight Charlo. And you said no, no, no at 168. But then you said that he is avoiding him because he's not fighting him at 160. And then earlier you said, oh, how is he avoiding him if he's fighting in a higher division, fighting champions at 168? So I'm trying to see what you're saying. You know what I mean?
Because in mind, with all those questions you asked in like a 3-part question,
No, they were all individual.
Is Canelo avoiding someone at 160, or whatever question you was asking? I would just put it to you like this: Canelo Alvarez is in a position where I don't feel he's avoiding them if they want him to come back down to 160 and he doesn't want to. You know what I'm saying? He's just saying, I'm not coming back down that division. That's just that. Y'all can stay down there if you want to. I don't feel that Canelo is avoiding him. As far as him moving on to bigger and better things, I'm looking at it like this. I don't feel that Canelo is totally in the wrong because he's making moves in boxing. He's fighting champions. He's fought Fielding, Kovalev, and Smith. So that's much better than just sitting in one division. That's adding divisions to your resume. So that's why I was
Yeah.
probably on that. Like Canelo is not, like he may be avoiding them at 160 because he's not trying to go there and attend and fight them at 160. Charlo should move up if he really want to get into good graces and fight and get some attention up there. Because that's what Canelo Alvarez is doing. And I feel that that's good for his mentality to be that way. He say, I'm moving up. I'm fighting bigger fighters. You still at 160. Why should I fight you?
So you're saying that he is avoiding them or he's not avoiding them at 160?
You have to look at the word avoiding.
Yeah, avoiding
You
means
can you
he
can walk around something and avoid it, or you can avoid it just because you don't want to be around it. Period. You know what I'm saying? Avoiding them at 160, in my opinion, he just ain't trying to go down to 160 and face him. That's me saying he's avoiding them. He's avoiding going to 160 because he don't want to fight at 160. When has he made it a point to fight at 160 and he just vacate his title, his WBA title? That's avoiding. He ain't trying. He's avoid fighting them, whoever it is down there, because he ain't trying to fight in 160.
Yeah, my bad. My wife was asking me a question. What was that again? I'm sorry.
I'm saying he's avoiding them, yes, in a sense that avoiding can be used in many different, actions. I'm saying he's avoiding them because he ain't planning on coming down there to box anymore. He's not coming down to 160 to compete. So yes, he's avoiding them. He's saying, "Fuck it, I'm not coming back down to 160." That's what it is. And then
So
it can be the avoidance to say, you know what, I'm not fighting them. That's avoiding. But
all
I
right.
think what I'm telling you is he's avoiding them in a division that he's not trying to come back down there and compete. Period.
all right. So if he's saying that he's avoiding those guys because he doesn't want to fight at 160 anymore, correct?
Yeah, that's pretty much
Basically.
where I'm at with it. He's not really going to show them any love because that's basically him saying he has to drop all the weight, come back down to a division where he just vacated his WBA title. What does he have to gain down there at 160?
Yeah, but yeah, I see what you're saying. He doesn't want to come down to 160, but I think it would probably be better if you say he's avoiding everybody at 160 because he doesn't want to come down to 160.
Everybody is them.
No, they're everybody is everybody. Charlo
So
and Andrade are just Charlo and
them
Andrade.
doesn't mean more than one person. Them doesn't mean more than one person.
No, I said everybody. I didn't say them.
I mean, when you talk about the division, what does them mean? Everybody, right? A collective group of them.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, but it's because you specifically said Andrade and Charlo.
Okay, I'm specifically talking about Andrade and Charlo. Then, so them in general, he ain't coming down there to fight them because he ain't showing no love to the middleweight division. So yeah, he is avoiding the division. He ain't trying to fuck with them, and it is the way it is, man.
I don't agree with that. I'll tell you why. When
Go ahead.
Canelo left the division when in 2019, I believe, right? About 2 years ago, I believe, right? I believe it was 2019. I'm on my phone, so I really can't be checking stuff. I think it was 2019. At that time, Charlo and Andrade didn't have any significant fights, any top level fights at that time. And Canelo was at 160 for I think 3 fights. So from 2017 to 2019, Canelo fought Triple G twice, and Daniel Jacobs, who had the other belt, which he had 3 belts at that time, right? When he fought after he beat Daniel Jacobs. So Charlo wasn't really a somebody for Canelo to fight. I think him fighting Triple G and Daniel Jacobs was a bigger fight than fighting Charlo or Andrade. Now, when it comes to Andrade, he had the belt. He had one of the belts, right? That other belt, that 4th belt, which that would be a reason for him to go and fight and go undisputed with Andrade. That one, yeah, I can agree with that. But he did try to make that fight with Andrade. They were actually in negotiations.
Who are we talking about? Charlo, right?
Canelo and Andrade.
And Andrade came up with some money shit just like he did Charlo, right?
I don't know exactly what the issue was, but I'll tell you what happened was a lot of people don't know Canelo and Andrade were in negotiations when Canelo and Derenchenko were in negotiations. The whole Golden Boy thing about not filing paperwork correctly for the extension, that was because Canelo didn't want to fight Derenchenko. He wanted to fight Andrade for undisputed. Golden Boy dropped the ball. It's well documented that they didn't file the extension. Therefore, Derenchenko, Canelo got stripped, and Derenchenko fought, I believe, Gennady Golovkin for that IBF belt. what I think happened. Now, this is just my opinion, right? At that time, that's when the zone, Canelo was with the zone. I may be wrong, but this is just my opinion. At that time, Canelo was with the zone, and Oscar De La Hoya had promised the zone Canelo Triple G a third fight. He had promised them, right? Canelo didn't want to fight Triple G. He said it multiple times. I don't want to fight this guy. I don't want to fight him. You know, I already went 24 rounds with this guy. I don't want to fight this guy, right? If Canelo would have got the fight with Andrade and beat Andrade, let's just say he would have beat him, he would have been undisputed, and there would no for sure there wouldn't have been a Triple G and Canelo third fight. Canelo would have left the division and gone to 168. So I think Oscar did that on purpose. And he said, you know what? Fuck that. I can't have Canelo fight Andrade. Let me not file this paperwork correctly. Canelo's gonna get stripped. Derenchenko's gonna fight Canelo for the IBF. Derenchenko's gonna fight Triple G for the IBF, and Triple G's gonna win, and he's gonna have the IBF, and now force Canelo to fight Triple G a third time for undisputed. That is what I think happened. But all the other stuff that I'm saying with Andrade and Canelo going into negotiations, I think that I know there were negotiations for a fact.
Hold on, Raider. I mean, everything what you said, I've heard that entire lineup before about the stripping of the IBF, which sets up Daniel Jacobs, and which ultimately set up, the Sergey Derenchenko two championship runs, which he failed at the IBF title. What you said is correct. I know all about that story with them filing in and allowing Gennady Golovkin to come over here and fight, and which he did lose that fight. They still gave it to him just to potentially set up and have weight to fight Canelo Alvarez. But once again, Canelo Alvarez is pretty much abandoning the 160-pound division and avoiding it. Avoidance in a sense where we can even throw that whole name in there. I truly don't think he wants to fight Gennady Golovkin, nor Charlo, nor Demetrius Andrade. I think he's pretty much done with that 160-pound division because he just don't want to damn go back down there, man. He probably don't want no damn Triple G trilogy. Seriously, he just avoiding everybody in that motherfucking middleweight division. Canelo is just trying to lead them motherfuckers behind. Fend for yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I don't think that he's avoiding the fighters. He might be avoiding the 160-pound. I don't know if he can make that weight comfortably anymore. Afu's a big dude. Like he's small, but he's a solid ass dude. He's a solid guy.
The guys had to have belts. You say he only fight for belts, right?
Who?
Yeah, he's one of the guys who has the belts. He ain't trying to fight those guys.
Which guys?
The champions at 160.
Oh, I don't think. You know what? I don't think it's that.
You don't care.
I just don't think. I don't think he wants to go down to 160.
Because if he goes to 60, he has to face one of the champions. He ain't trying to face none of the champions. He don't care.
But the reason is, he's saying because he doesn't want to go to 160 to avoid these guys. I don't think that's the reason. I think he has this mindset of becoming undisputed at 168. I don't think in the back of his mind he's saying, you know what, I don't want to fight at 160 to avoid these guys because I don't want to fight these guys. I think his mentality is over here on this side saying, I want undisputed at 168.
Yeah, we already know he wants undisputed. We're pretty much talking past that now. Will he come back to 160 or go at the 175?
Yeah, so you're talking about when he was at 160, right?
No, I'm talking about ever since he's been away. Just a recent we found out he was going to unify the super middleweight division just recently. There's no way he's going to insert a Jamal Charlo, Murata, motherfucking Triple G, or Andre into that equation because they're all big fights. So Canelo, with his agenda to fade Abner Yildirim and then Billy Joe Saunders and then Caleb Plant, that's his calendar. So it's not going to be anybody from the 160-pound division in between all that. I'm speaking more so, when he left the division franchise, he didn't show no effort to want to come back down there and fight any of the champions.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about this. He was fighting at 160, right? 2 years or whatever it was, 3 years. He was fighting at 160. He beat Triple G twice. He fought Daniel Jacobs. He fucking went up and fought fucking Rocky Fielding, which was another little gimme fight. And he fought Daniel
What weight
Jacobs.
Did he fight Daniel Jacobs at? What weight?
I was at 160.
Mm-hmm.
And he fought Kovalev, right? I mean, if you're at 160 and then you go to 175, it's gonna be hard to try to make that 160 weight. Wouldn't you agree if you go up? I mean, the fighters that I've seen that go in 2 weight classes up, that it's hard for them to come back down to that initial weight class. They always kind of stay around that weight or one less. They don't really go down to 2 weight classes back down.
I don't think you want to come back down to 160, period. Just because of that facet too. He has to lose weight. But there's some tough fights for him to drop weight and come back down there and fight them. There'll be some good fights down there at 160 for Canelo Alvarez. Some solid fights, for real. Well, being in the position he's in, he can pick and choose if he ever wants to do that or not. I'm not mad at him. He was franchised and he left the division, and he did what he had to do after he finished those last couple of fights. He did what he had to do. I would like to see him fight Charlo.
Oh, for sure. That'll be a big.
He already fought Gennady Golovkin twice. I don't want to see that shit anymore.
I'll tell you this much: I think Canelo and Charlo will be probably the biggest fight that can be made at 160, 168, 175, maybe even. That's a big fight, dude. That's a big fight. I'm not gonna, I'm pretty sure a lot of people will tune in for that.
Canelo do have the opportunity to be defeated by Jamal Charlo if he have his best night. It's possible. Styles make fights.
If Charlo has his best night,
huh?
Yeah, Styles make fights, of course. I mean, I'm not gonna say that Charlo has no chance of beating Canelo because that would be hating, I don't. That's like, and that would be irresponsible of me. Of course he has a chance. I just think I don't think it's more than, I wouldn't give him 40%, my opinion.
Okay, you say 40%. It's all good.
Yeah, it's just like people that talk about Wilder and they say that he doesn't, that he can't beat all these guys, dude. Like, Wilder has that factor of his power, dude, which he can beat anybody. Like people that say he has no chance against Fury and Joshua, of course he has a chance. Like, he's got that fucking right hand and left hand too. He definitely has a chance, more than a chance to win. One punch can change fucking fights. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just the way it is. So I'm not gonna say that nobody has a chance. But I think Charlo, he does have a chance. But I mean, I just think it's not more than 40%. I think Canelo, that's a 60-40 fight for me.
Mm. I really don't care about the percentage of it. You know what I'm saying? It'll be a tough fight either way it goes. I'm not gonna put the I know I said 50-50, but that's just giving the term. I really don't know who will win that fight, to be honest. It depends on what weight they fight at. Canelo gaining that weight and then coming back down to 60 at this point. I think he'd be less competitive at 60, than he would comfortably at 168. And of course,
Yeah.
Jamal Charlo would be the smaller fighter at 168 if he was to move up right now and just start taking fights right off the back. I don't think he would acclimate enough to start taking on big names at 168 just
Yeah,
yet.
can I address that question that's down there? Or what is it, a comment? Or it says, again, Canelo said he would only drop down to 160 for a Spence fight. I don't really pay attention too much to those things because even Charlo said he would go up to face Canelo at 168, but he doesn't want to fight Benavidez at 168. So those are just like money fights, you know what I mean? Charlo's gonna go up at 168 for that bag to get against Canelo, and Canelo would drop down to 160 for a bag for a big fight against Spence. So those kind of fights are money fights. I pay too much attention to those.
So what did you think about what Crawford said? What did you agree or disagree? What do you think about what he said?
That he's avoiding black fighters.
Yeah, what do you think what was your take on what he said? Because people got all upset about it.
Well,
what black
Canelo,
fighters do you think he's speaking on?
well, he said black fighters. He didn't say certain black fighters, or he didn't say two black fighters. He said black fighters, meaning all black fighters. And
So
last time I checked,
let's be clear.
Canelo fought a lot of black fighters and beat them, and lost to Mayweather. So I think that's not an accurate statement.
Maybe he just didn't give you designated fighters. He wanted to leave it open for the hardcore fans to just narrow it down to what he's talking about. What black fighters could it be? From 160 on up to 175. What black fighters could it be?
Yeah, if he wanted to leave it up to the fans, he would have said certain black fighters, right? He's just said black fighters.
No, I mean, he might have just left it open and say, "You figure it out."
Nah, I don't think so. I mean, come on, we're not. We're
not
on.
many
We're
black
not.
fighters. It's not that many black fighters at 160.
No, I know, but we're not. Like we're not kids. Like when people say things, they know what they're saying. Like I'm not gonna say like, oh, this guy's ducking Mexican fighters or black fighters.
So you think about age? We don't leave open-ended statements.
Like when you say that, like, oh, he's ducking Mexican fighters, or he's ducking black fighters, or he's ducking Irish fighters or white fighters, you mean all. If you say certain, then you can leave it up to the people to try to figure out who I'm talking about or whoever's talking about. You know what I mean? Like I listen to words very carefully because you don't just go up to a mic and just say things. You know what I mean? You think about what you say. Well, at least I do. I mean I
know adults have the luxury of just leaving open-ended statements out there for people to, make their own, receive it the best way they know how. I mean, it can be intentional. It can be definitely, one of those areas where people are just being egotistical. They can say shit just for the fans to sit up here and run with it on who they can pitch, who they can possibly be speaking about. And when Terrence Crawford said black fighters, well, guess what? In Canelo Alvarez's weight classes right now, 60 to 75 is minimal black fighters. Most of them are at 60.
Yeah.
So he couldn't have
most
been
of them,
talking
only
about
two of
too
them.
many people.
Yeah, I'm saying not most of them. It's only probably two guys, right?
I'm
Well,
just saying, instead of
to go
Terrence
back,
Crawford
yeah,
saying their
to
name,
to to go back
you
and
just
answer your
say black
question.
fighters.
Yeah, to go back and answer your question, what I think about it, what you told me, what I think about. No, he's not. He's not ducking black fighters.
No, I think more so I asked you what you thought about Terrence Crawford, what he said. Why would he say something like that?
Oh, I don't know. You got to ask him. I mean, I don't know why he said it, or what's the reason, or if he left crumbs out there for the people to grab and run with stuff. I don't know. I just what he said. He's ducking black fighters. I don't agree with it. That's all I can say. I don't know why he said it, or you know, I don't know
Is he
what
ducking
his
Mexicans?
intention was. Is who ducking Mexicans?
Canelo.
Is he ducking Mexicans?
Hmm.
Shit, I don't think he ducks anybody. I mean, he could.
He
I
said he
mean,
didn't want to fight any more Mexican fighters.
okay. Well, think about this, right? Just like how you said, why did Terrence Crawford say that, right? Certain how many Mexican fighters are there at from 160 to 168? Benavides and Munguia, like it's kind of a similar question, right? I mean,
No, I mean,
I don't think Canelo's ducking Munguia and Benavides. Like, I don't know. It's kind of funny to me.
no, I just look at Canelo say he's not fighting any more Mexicans. He just cuts them off. Like it's funny that he can say that. You know, I guess he's kind of exhausted with half his career being Mexican fighters, so he decided to say, "I'm not fighting any more Mexicans."
Yeah, to be honest, I don't know why he said that. Like, just like how you said, Crawford. Why would he say that? Why would Canelo say that? I have no idea. But is he ducking these guys? I don't think so. I mean, I his resume speaks for himself. I mean, he's been fighting a lot of champions.
No,
I mean, who else is doing
I
that?
put that out there, Raider, because I'm not trying to jam you up. I was just asking the question, and from two different people, that means pretty much the same outcome of leaving open ended. Perception. You can't really answer some of their questions because they didn't put them out there for you to answer. They just put them out there for you to think about.
Yeah, I don't. Do you think Canelo said, I don't want to fight Mexicans, so we can think about it?
Who is the Mexican he's talking about? All of them, right? He didn't characterize. He said, I'm not fighting. I'm tired of fighting. Man, I'm not fighting another Mexican."
Yeah, but that was
So,
at once. That was at 160, right? When he said that.
and it don't matter hey, look, he didn't specify a division. He just said he's not fighting any more Mexicans. That's an open-ended freaking statement for him to make, and saying he's not entertaining any Mexicans. That's an open-ended. Crawford saying, "Hey, Canelo is not fighting. He's ducking or whatever he said. He's ducking black fighters or whatever." That's an open-ended thing. What black fighters? What? Because all of them super flyweight. I mean, what are you talking about? Junior lightweight. They just put it out there for you to just latch on to what? Do your homework. Just like you just said, Canelo and Mexican fighters is only Jaime Maguire and David Benavidez. Both of them happen to be in two different divisions. They just put it out there for you to do your own homework. It's just petty. It's just grown adult shit. You know what I'm saying? They just put the shit out there for you to do the homework and you figure it out. He didn't say specific Mexicans. He just said, "I'm not fighting any more Mexicans." I know he was
Yeah.
supposed to fight Jaime Maguire. He's not fighting Jaime Maguire.
No, no, I see what you're saying. You know.
And if he said he wasn't going to fight any more black fighters, then that's a different story. Now we can do the math. We can break that shit down.
Yeah. Now, why would it be different? if he said, I don't want to fight any black fighters, than if he says, I don't want to fight any Mexican fighters. If
Because
just
then
say, hold on, just say there's two guys that are Mexican that he can possibly fight and two black guys that he can possibly fight. Why would it be different?
it'll be hellfire different. Because it'll be like, okay, if you want to fight these guys, if those guys are there for you to fight, but you specify black, that you ain't gonna fight, you don't want to fight any black fighters, then it raises the barometer of criticism right there. Like you specifically said black. So people are gonna run with it as long as they possibly can. They're gonna fly that motherfucking kite. And they're gonna have all the message that they want on that motherfucker. They're gonna write, Canelo's a racist. I'm serious. It's gonna turn into some shit. So him saying he don't want to fight a Mexican, cool. But that's just like, if he say he don't want to fight another black fighter, and you have two black fighters at 160, then they're gonna say, you know what? That's what we was thinking, that he didn't want to fuck with him. People will give him hell for it, but Canelo might come up and say, well, I just felt that this time I don't want to face another black fighter this time. And please explain, Canelo, because the ones I fought in my lifetime, I feel that these ones that's currently remaining doesn't fit their status. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't do it for me. I mean, he could have said anything, but people would have ran with it and say, oh, it was racist.
Oh, you mean like in a it would be different because it would be a race thing, nothing to do with the fighters themselves, but a racial thing.
People would perceive that if he was to say he wasn't going to fight any more black fighters.
But it wouldn't have to do nothing with skills. It would have to do because it would be a racial thing.
If Canelo Alvarez says something like, I don't want to face any more black fighters because.
No, not because, just in general. A blanket statement, like how you said before. An open-ended statement.
It's blanketed. It's very blanketed. So, you know how people pick shit up and run with it. You take that blanket without explaining shit, people gonna say, okay, Canelo is prejudiced. He's avoiding black fighters. You can read into it how you want to. If I say
I'm pretty sure there'll be a lot of mixed
fighters,
messages.
If I say I don't want to face no more Mexican fighters, I'm a black fighter, and people gonna say, oh, he ain't fucking with the Mexican. He ain't fighting the Mexican fighters. They're not gonna say because of skill. They're gonna put race into it.
Yeah,
they ain't gonna give a fuck about no skill.
I can see that. Yep, I can see that. But I thank you for having me on the panel, man. I appreciate it.
I appreciate your input, man.
I did like a 14-hour shift today. So I'm kind of fucking tired. I just wanted to jump on since you told me, hey, here's a link. Hop on, show you a little bit of support.
Yeah, I didn't even know who you were until I saw your logo, man. To be honest,
I
didn't really know who you were until I saw your logo. Because I remember seeing you on the other panels now, but I didn't know that was your full name in the chat.
Yeah. That's what it's crazy because I have my Raider from LA logo, and then I have my picture that I have here that I go on panels. I go on panels with this one, but the one on my whatchamacallit when I do comments, I can't change that one because that's like that's the Google one, So I don't even know how to change that. But
you don't want to change your logo
on the panels, yeah, but not on the when you do your comments, because that's like linked to your email and all that.
Yeah, all you do, you have a Google account, right? Just go up there to the top right, and where it says change photo or whatever up in your Google account, all you do is just press that camera. You put the mouse over that little logo up there in the top right, and it's going to ask you to change your camera. So you just click on the camera and you upload a photo over there, and it's going to reciprocate over here to your StreamYard.
Yeah, I think I tried doing that on my phone, but it doesn't. I can't do it on my phone. I think I have to do it on a computer. Again, and then on the computer, I don't have this photo on the computer because this picture is from like my phone. I don't know. It's kind of complicated. I tried doing it, and I was like, oh man, fuck this shit. Yeah.
Well, there goes something you can leave with, you know,
What
that
was that,
thumbnail.
Wilder?
He's about to return to the sport.
Oh, did he get a? Oh, I heard that he hit up White. No,
You heard he hit up White.
I heard through the grapevines or around the YouTube community that he well, not he called White personally, but I heard that he reached out, I guess, to Dylan White that he wants to fight. Is that true or no?
Yeah, that's been out there that he reached out. I can't I don't know if he reached out recently, but they need to fight. I think it'll be pretty good for him stepping back in the ring to face Dillian White. I would love for that to be the first knockout, that Dillian White's get from the Bronze Bomber in 2021.
Hey, that'd be a badass fight. I would like to see how that fight goes, man. Very
Who you
very
got in that
interesting.
fight, man?
Fuck, I don't know, man. I mean, that's a, to be
He
honest,
said, I don't know, man. I'm about to
hold on,
go.
hold on.
I worked a
To be
14-hour shift.
no. To be honest, if like right now, because I can always change my mind. Like how when the fight gets near you, you're like when it's a tough fight like that, like a 50-50, you're like you can go this way, you can go that way. There's no for sure winner like that I could think of right now. But if I was to bet money, I'll probably bet Wilder by knockout. If
Well,
if
I don't think he's done yet, man, at all. I think he'll be back, and we'll see. The next 3 weeks is going to be very important, especially with this arbitration that's coming out to the conclusion, and also to see if Eddie Hearns is, really talking his shit and not capping. That they're gonna have a venue. He said they're gonna have a venue by May.
yeah, they better hurry up because fucking White, he just won, and I don't know if he can fucking activate a fucking whatchamacallit, a
Mhm.
mandatory,
Yep.
and then that's gonna screw up undisputed. So they've had time. I don't know why hasn't happened yet. I don't know what's going on. How come they haven't fucking um have a venue and all that shit for Joshua and Fury yet? So I don't know what's holding him up.
Because they can't lock on the venue until they know what's going on with Wilder Fury.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that. All this legal shit that nobody knows about, you know what
People know about it. It's just people that's trying to ride it off and that like it's nothing. Like, Fury can go do what Fury wants to do. That's not the case. He's contractually locked down until, from what I understand, they're supposed to come up with a conclusion to this probably in May. So Tyson Fury is not going to be able to fight until May, until this shit is over with.
mean? So first it goes into mediation or arbitration.
Mediation.
All right, yeah. So mediate goes to mediation first, and then like one of those old judges, retired judges, looks it over, and then he decides if it should go to arbitration or not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So once it's an arbitration, then I guess they get judges, and they go over the case, and they go over to see if there is a case, if it should go to court, right?
From my understanding, they're in arbitration. So if their legal teams have talked about it and with mediation and try to figure this out and they couldn't do it, then it goes to arbitration. From my understanding, the judge can come to a point of deciding on what actually happens.
Yeah. No. Of what I've heard, because I didn't know which one was first, because I get the two mixed up. But what I heard is, I guess the mediation goes right. They have a mediation, and a judge decides whether or not it's something to look into. right? So then that's when the arbitration comes into, and then they go over it. They go over all the paperwork and they talk to all the lawyers and everything, and then they decide after arbitration to see if it should go to court or not. Right? That's what I've heard from people that know what's up, as far as that legal stuff.
What I know is once the judge comes back with this decision, it's going to be final on that subject matter. It's going to be final. And it's not going anywhere else after this. No court. He's going to make a decision, and that is final.
Oh, all right. Well, I guess I heard different.
Yeah, it's going to be, because this can drag out. If it was something criminal or something like this, this is a contractual case of arbitration where, yeah, they've had both sides look at it, internal to the adjudicated process, and they're waiting for the judge to do his thing. I really don't know anything else than that. I know one thing, people was taking it lightly. I bet now they aren't. They were just saying, that Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury is going to be fighting at this time, and we need to get ready for a trilogy. I mean, undisputed, and the shit ain't happened yet because it can't happen.
Yeah, I don't really know too much about that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't really say this because of fear of Wilder or not. I have no fucking clue. But I mean, the only issue I have is supposedly they mutually agreed. But why is it not official then? Because you can have it official without having a venue in place. Right?
You can have it official without having what?
Without having the venue. You can have the fight official without having the venue. So
I mean, you can have it official off from going from a verbal agreement to the signing of a contract.
Yeah, that's what I'm
That can
saying.
be official, but
that's what I'm saying. Like the fight can be official. Like, here, the fight is on. Here's the date. They can have all that without having the venue. But they haven't done that.
That's where they're at right now. That's what they're doing.
But no, I know, but they haven't done that. It's not official yet. So my question is, why is it not official? If the venue is
still, the ruling haven't came down to provide them permission to plan a venue, to lock on a venue, as if that trilogy has actually happened. You can't do that when Tyson Fury is tied up in court.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is, like, I agree with you. It's basically what I'm trying to say, right? Like, if the fight was gonna happen, right? They could have made it official without having a venue, but that's not happening. It's not. That's my problem. Why is it not official? You know what I mean? Like, because maybe there is some truth to the Wilder stuff.
So basically, you want them to make it official, and you don't know if Fury's going to walk up out of there with that WBC belt.
No, it's not what I want. I'm just saying, like, it's just, if the fight was gonna happen, that should have been official already. Is what I'm saying.
They've been trying to make it official, bro. They've been coming out with some bullshit. We agreed on a 2-fight deal, and then now we signed a 2-fight deal, and then we have 30 days to come up with a site venue. They've been trying anything and everything in the media to make it seem like it's official. They want to keep people believing that this fight is official.
Yeah, no, but they're not gonna pull the wool over my eyes. You know what I mean? I've been in the game for a fucking while already, so I don't believe shit until it's actually official. All this little hoopla shit running around, I'm not into that.
It's evident that it's evident they can't move. Fury would have fought 2 fights by now if it was up to him. Most likely 2 easy touches to prepare for a big fight. That's true, man. I mean, Fury, at first, he thought he was going to fight Kabayal or whatever, and he couldn't do that. And that's why he basically voiced his frustration lately, saying he can't do anything until this court case is over with.
Yeah. But, hey, World Combat, thank you for having me on. I'm gonna take a quick shower, man. I'm gonna fucking get ready
Yeah,
to go to
salute,
work tomorrow
man.
morning. But
Have
thank
a
you for
have
having
a
me on the
good
panel,
Wednesday.
and I appreciate it. And I'll catch you on the next one. All right.
Yeah, for
Peace out.
sure. Have a good Wednesday,
Uh,
Raider.
you
Salute,
too.
man.
Thanks. Salute.
Yes, it's freaking Wednesday already, man. A lot of y'all need to get ready for work. What you still doing up, Mitch? Do you work, man? What you still doing up? Smoking one? You know what I'm saying? Y'all know damn well y'all pass y'all curfew up here staying up this late, man. Seriously. Have some have some manners, some discipline, goddamn at home. If everybody else sleep. Damn. But y'all, man, it's been good, man. How long I've been on? 3 hours? Damn, 3 hours? Shouty, I gotta bounce. Y'all turn up and tune in to World Combat Sports, man. You know what it is. I'll be back tomorrow. Salute. And appreciate everyone for pulling up. One love. I'm out.